Holy
Look at
crap!
Bob's name.
That's so
He's
cool.
#1.
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Because I get more money.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. All right. Okay, so here we are again. Follow up from yesterday. I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. As you know, Nicro
These
had
things
some
happen.
some microphone trauma. But he's
Microphone.
over it. Microphone. It's the microphone apocalypse. All right. But he's back now and ready to give us a party. Give us the lowdown on everything about him and Odyssey and all the juicy stuff. So you want to dive into it, or do you have anything to say before we?
No, I think I'm ready to dive in.
All right. Well, let's
get wet.
Yeah, we had a big long talk yesterday. We basically went for like an hour talking about our own stuff, me and Simply. So we're gonna go right into it and introduce the one and only, the
boy,
the myth, the man,
God Gamer alert,
the
World
legend,
record holder, Super Mario Odyssey Any %. It's only the beginning.
the NicroVeda. What's up, Nicro? How you doing?
Hola. So.
What's up, man? We're back.
Okay. So let's. I don't know if I need to pray anymore. I think we're good.
Nah, I
I'll
think
give
we're.
it a second or there we go. That should be enough. Feeling pretty good today about microphones.
Sweet.
All right, so give us all deets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take us back.
So yeah, I'll just kind of like repeat myself from yesterday.
Yeah, basically.
A lot of you are gonna hear the same shit, but there's a few new people, I guess. So how I started speedrunning.
Mm-hmm.
So go back to when like Wii Virtual Console first came out. I had Mario Bros. And saw Mario beaten in under 5 minutes. Was like, damn, looks pretty cool. And I sucked. I just kind of gave up like really quick. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know what speedrunning was. It was just kind of like this thing that I didn't even know that a lot of people did. It was just like a one-time thing. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And fast forward a few years, I saw Cosmo do an OOT. Thought that was pretty crazy. And once again, I didn't know that speedrunning was like a community thing. I always used to think that it was just like one guy doing all the work, all the strats, all the glitches. Like he just did everything, and it was just like too crazy for me. I'm like, I'm never gonna do that. It was just too hard. So I just kind of ditched that idea. And then fast forward some more years, when I kind of just started watching Twitch more, I found out about Clint, and it was just kind of amazing to me how not only how much like people were watching. There's like 5,000 people watching like Ocarina of Time. It's like, wait, what's going on? But like just how different he was speedrunning it, because it wasn't just like any %. It was just like this whole crazy thing, and I thought it was amazing. So I basically just like watched that for like a really long time until one day, it was like months after I started watching him, like why don't I just try this? Like finally, this is I feel like this is a good opportunity, because now like I've seen what goes into. I understand how splitting works. I understand like all the data just from watching him and stuff like that. And it just randomly popped in my head. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna just do Mario 64. Like it just seemed like way more accessible. And I know like Cheese would probably like agree on this too. It's just like Zelda the first time, it's like it's so intimidating. It's so different. It's not like as easily like you can't. It's not just like, oh, you just grab stars and you kind of finish. You got to know so much. So I thought SM64 was just like a good starting game. Despite how hard it is.
It is, yeah, it is.
So yeah, I just thought it was pretty easy to understand. So yeah, I got into that because this is when I was also understanding like what goes into like the practice behind things. I knew what that's when I was figuring out what Game Shark was, and I picked one of those up. And so at this point, I just love speedrunning so much. It just happened so fast, I guess, for me. And I was like, yeah, all I could think of was speedrunning. And this was
that's what happens, dude.
Yeah, right around the time when the first Odyssey trailers, it was about a year ago.
Mhm.
And I saw those, and like this was just right when I was starting up with SM64, and I'm like, if that game is anything like SM64, like I'm hopping on that. I'm just gonna like destroy it. Like I kind of like planned it almost. It was like just this thing I like knew I was gonna just like try to dominate because like at the time, yeah, SM64 was just so much fun. So
So how
yeah, it
far?
was basically
Mhm.
just basically like a waiting game until Odyssey came out, and I don't know I knew I'd have a lot of fun with it because I was there right from the beginning. Because at the time I came into 64, I mean, you know, there's always gonna be like really crazy people. It takes like many years to really become a top player in a game like that. So I thought it'd be cool to, you know, take my knowledge from a game like SM64, like from whatever I did at the time, and see where I could take it with Odyssey.
Awesome.
And
So
you've taken it
that's
pretty far.
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much. I think that's all. It's been like not even a year, I think, since I started playing. So I think I grasped it pretty quickly.
So how far did you actually go with Mario 64 at first
Um,
before moving on to Odyssey?
so with us, I started playing on played on emulator for a week. I'm like, okay, this sucks. Got the
Mhm.
Game Shark practice for like a couple months maybe. Like I actually practiced for like 2 months before I even like did runs. Um,
Damn.
which I don't know if I would like recommend that. I mean, it's different. It's definitely
I don't
like
recommend it
like
either. So
yeah. I don't know. I didn't really know what I was doing, I guess. But of course, you know, it was good to get that out of the way because, like I said, I think doing SM64 definitely helped me like somewhat to get in the speedrunning mindset. From what I learned. But anyway,
Mhm.
I did that for like I don't know, few months maybe like during the summer. I also mixed it in with a little bit of Wii Sports for the memes. I don't know. You guys probably know about that.
yeah, yeah, you
Uh,
mentioned that.
yeah, that was just kind of like a meme thing to do. I wasn't streaming like crazy much, but yeah, it was. I was trying to be as good as I can, like before Odyssey came out, I guess. So
Mhm.
it was a few months. I think I did like pretty okay. I'm definitely coming back, and I'm gonna try to get good, but
Oh damn.
that's for another time. Yeah.
All right. So I guess the obvious thing about Odyssey is it's like a modern game. You know, Mario, it's had years and years of refinement, people finding stuff and whatnot. So in a game like Odyssey, is there new stuff happening like every week? Are people still finding new things often?
So like I played my casual playthrough of Odyssey. It was like first like maybe 4 or 5 days of the game, and again
Mhm.
because I was so amped up with the speed run, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna be there like pretty much right away.
Mhm.
I hopped on the Discord, and yeah, of course it was just popping off. I mean, it still kind of is.
Yeah.
In terms of things that like it's definitely slowed down. A lot of the it's right now it's just tiny optimizations for the most part, but
Mhm.
the thing with this game is like because the community is so huge, I feel like it might be bold to like a bold statement, but it I feel like the where Odyssey is right now, it would take SM64 like 5 years to get to that point. Like just because of how many people put in so much work and strats and stuff like right away.
Mhm.
It's just like a big speed running like field. And like
Yeah.
it was like over like what like it was like 2,000 people on the Discord maybe like
Damn.
every day or something. I don't even know what it is. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I was there from week one of when strats were being found. I actually watched. You guys know who Fuzziness is.
Of
I watched
course.
him route the game because like at the time again when it was starting out, the Discord was just going too wild. You couldn't even keep up with like anything. Like the
Mhm.
strats, or there was a new route probably every like 2 hours or something, and it was like
Really?
it was just so annoying. So like I kind of just like watched what Fuzziness did, like for in terms of like routing and stuff like that. Um,
Mhm.
and I just copied him because again everyone was doing their own thing almost. So
Yeah.
that's how it started, I guess. And then once we really kind of boiled it down to what was the fastest routes at the time, it took a while because yeah, so many people were just like screaming at each other, all these like different things, and the development was just like unlike anything else. Because like I said, it feels like this game has already been out for like 2 years, but like
Yeah, it
it's
feels like
only
that.
been 4 months or something, and it feels so pushed already.
It
And
Has
honestly,
it only been 4 months?
yeah, it feels like so much more. That's true.
That's insane.
Yeah. No, it actually like blows my mind, like just to think about it. Like I every time it was actually funny. I watched just for shits like a couple weeks ago. I pulled up an old PB. Like I think it was my first submitted run. I put on speedrun.com,
Hmm.
and I was watching it with my chat, and it felt like we were watching one of those like like just like one of those like old runs from like a long time ago. That's like that people like laugh at and stuff kind of thing. And
Yeah.
this at the time, this was like maybe like 10 minutes worse than what my time is now. But yeah, we were sitting there watching it as if it was just some like crazy memory, but it was only like a couple months old or
Man, that's
something.
crazy. Yeah.
And it just felt so insane. Yeah. So
Wow.
the progression of the game just, I don't know. It's almost like too fast.
It makes you think
Yeah, dude.
like where it's in 4 months if we could reach this far already. Like just imagine like in 2 years to come or something like that. You know, like I mean, any percent especially would be. I mean, I think it would be sub one. Do you think sub one is a?
Well, yeah, sub 1 right now is like it's like the meme obviously, like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
so
Mhm.
because we're so close, but like it's so far at the same time because like I said, anything I feel like a lot of things in Odyssey to like really push the game at this point are really stupid like little time savers
Mhm.
that like are almost like really hard to do, but they save like 0.1 or something like or because like people again we're trying to figure out like everything we can I guess, but
Yeah.
it's slowed down a lot. Um, so sub hour at the moment just feels like super
Yeah, of
impossible.
course.
But because yeah, like the all the craziness and all the routing, all the strats, they seem pretty figured out at this point. Because my current PB is like, well, my sum of best changed because like there's that new thing that was
Yeah,
legalized.
we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But at the time of when I got the record, it was like what, like not even 45 seconds off Sob, I think. So
Yeah, yeah.
like it was, I don't know. It's like after that, it's like yeah, we need. I feel like I needed more, but of course it wasn't fully optimized, and we're still optimizing stuff. Because
Mhm.
again, with speedrunning, you're always gonna think, oh no, we can't do more, but like you just give it a little bit of
Impossible. You
time,
could
and yeah,
always do more.
you
Every single
completely
time.
yeah you completely just surprise yourself. So
So,
I think we still got lots left to go.
so you mentioned that your PB is 45 seconds off of Summer Best. Now, go through that with us, like in terms of getting a good run that is like close to your Summer Best. Stuff like RNG, etc. How does RNG work in Odyssey? Is there any RNG? Um, if so, how does it work?
Yeah, so basically like I feel like RNG in a speed game, like it's kind of fun to have a little bit of it because that's what really like
Agreed. Yeah.
kind of keeps the run on its toes a little bit. Like you don't really know what's always gonna happen. There's
Mhm.
always that like, if you get like say like the God run, it's
Mhm.
getting
Yeah.
no
It's more
RNG
exciting.
just kind of exactly. It's just kind of takes away from that. So Odyssey basically has no RNG. In a
Really?
way, okay, so there's a little bit of it, but it's like really avoidable type stuff. So for instance,
Mhm.
it's like in the Bowser fight, like we don't actually know if this is RNG or not. I have a feeling it's not, but sometimes like the hat, like the proper hat spawns in like a different spot, for instance. Like we
Mhm.
don't you can, no matter where it spawns, you can still get it if you're just like standing in the right position. But it's kind of uncomfortable in some areas, but it's again it's nothing you can't figure it out.
Mhm.
Uh, Now the biggest RNG, which is very small, is in Snow Kingdom. There's like enemy positionings, like there's like the spinies in this
Mhm.
one room, and when we're rolling through it, we want the spinies to be like out of the way in the open because it's just a really skinny path.
Yeah.
Um, so that's like probably the worst RNG you can get, and even if like they're in your way, you only lose like a few seconds maybe.
Dang.
But there's actually like I feel like I figured out a way that kind of takes out that RNG. Where I'm still kind of like figuring stuff out about the room, but it's looking like we're just not gonna have either very very little and like easily avoidable stuff, or just to like no RNG at all. So
Dang.
That's
That sounds really
crazy.
good.
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It's because again you can never really like blame the game. I guess that's what's
Mhm.
kind of nice. Like we always like to just like scream at the game for like
Right.
screwing us over and
It,
stuff.
it's
But
also crazy because most new games nowadays are so big that the possibility of more RNG is like even bigger with new games.
Yeah,
But then
you'd think
Odyssey comes
so.
around and it's literally the opposite. It's like there's no RNG at all. It's just gameplay, which I think is probably a
Yeah,
huge
just
factor to the reason why there's so much runners in it too. Why it's so easy to like get into it.
yeah, no, it's really easy to get into, and like, because like the biggest thing with SM64 is like the coins, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
um, in Odyssey, there's no like 100 coin stars
Yeah,
or
I was
moons
just
or
gonna
anything like
say.
that. But even if there was, like the way, if like say you beat an enemy in Odyssey, or like you like make coins drop, they drop in like a perfect circle. So it's like even if we had to like get coins or something, like it wouldn't
That's
even
crazy.
be a big deal. So like yeah,
Every time.
Yeah.
yeah, every time they just spawn in like a nice juicy circle, and you're just like
You could
good to
just do
go.
the
So
spin cap thing to grab all of them.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you needed to. So even that, like, yeah, you don't have, there's just nothing to worry about, or at least anything I can think of. Now I'm not like too
Mhm.
familiar with like other categories, so I don't really know what goes on in those. I would think there's no RNG, but there there might be a little
Okay.
bit. I can't say.
Dude, there's some long categories.
Yeah, lots to do. Lots to do in the game for sure. It's almost like too crazy. Some of the long categories, like I don't know. There's so many because there's like what 880 like individual moons in the game. It's like
It's insane.
100%. Like I don't think that'll ever have like an optimal route. Like it
You'd be
just
surprised.
sounds.
You'd be
I
surprised.
maybe, but it's just too crazy. And that thing's like they have a hard time getting it under like what even like 10 hours. I don't know. It's too
Right.
much.
So is any percent the biggest category then, would you say?
Yeah, like the other categories actually aren't even that popular. Like none of the other categories even reached like 100 people. I don't think.
Oh wow. How
Like
many are for
any
any
percent
percent?
has it's over 1,500 right now.
Oh
It
my
might have even
god.
hit like 1,700. I could pull it up right now
That's
as
awesome though.
but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's about like almost 17K maybe. Yeah, some people in the chat are saying 17K. So yeah, that's pretty
17K.
crazy.
Wow.
But yeah, and I think that's it makes sense to me though. Like again,
Yeah.
the fact that we see those numbers, because not only speedrunning is just so much bigger now, but people were I feel like kind of like me, they were waiting for like that big Mario game because everyone's gonna speedrun the new Mario game. And
Mhm.
the last like big Mario game we got like in this style was like a Galaxy, right?
Mhm.
So and that was what like 2008 when speedrunning still was like nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
So um it was just everybody saw it as like a big opportunity to get into speedrunning as a whole, and like just the fact that yeah it's such an easy game to pick up, and
Is it really?
there yeah there's so much control options. Like basically if you just know a route and you want to start a run, you basically have to like you can just make your own movement just because there's so many options. Like there's definitely optimal things,
Mhm.
but yeah, just to start off, it's like everybody
So
kind of just like does their own thing for movement, and super simple to follow actually.
so
So
there's
yeah,
a
like
huge spectrum of strats basically.
yeah,
So they
there's
have like
lots.
bunches of routes where you could do easy strats, not so easy strats, and then the whole like harder and the pro strats.
Yeah, because like I was saying before, it's like we're at a point where we're just trying to find all these like tiny things to save time, and
Mhm.
like that's almost basically like how Odyssey is for a lot of hard strats. It's like you can go the easy route and like still get like a pretty good run, but
Mhm.
if you want to save time, it's all like those like tiny things. So like if you want to be like a top runner, it's like you just got to go for all those like little tiny like there's things we do that are like point 0.2 faster that are like way harder and like almost not even worth it, but like it's like those little things that we just like need to push the game right
There's a
now.
lot of that in Mario 64 as well. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
just things where you barely go faster. Like you wouldn't even like notice sometimes, but there's lots of people doing timings and stuff just for like it's almost crazy. It's almost like everyone's just we're getting like desperate for it almost feels, but
Mhm.
again
No,
it's gonna change.
It's the same thing for us. I feel like
Yeah.
yeah, we reached a point where we keep saying, you know, this is kind of crazy now. It's just too optimized. What are we gonna do? And then someone puts out a video of, hey, look at this strat. Look at what
Yeah.
I found. Look what, you know. And then we try it out, and it's like, oh, okay, all right. Saves 0.2 seconds. Then we practice it for 2 days and try to get it.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
people do
sometimes there's
it.
big stuff,
Yeah,
but yeah, mostly it's like frame. You're
yeah,
saving frames, and it's like, wow, I could save some frames. Like it's a good thing.
yeah. Like the
Yeah.
whole idea that they just tried
Take
an
anything.
SSL that saves like 1 or 2 seconds that I know I need to learn. But it's gonna
Dude,
take me
that
like
strat.
a week to learn it. So
No,
hard,
no, it's like just to like get that thing. It's
right?
just
For
like
to save 1 or 2 seconds. But to me, it's
this is
like
all it.
it's crazy because 2 seconds
Yeah,
is like whoa, 2 seconds. You know.
it comes
Dude,
down
it's
to that.
huge.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Again, it seems like that, but like I said earlier, like we're gonna surprise ourselves, like for sure. The game's still so new.
Yeah.
It's just because again, it's so competitive that like we want to keep our runs going. We want to try to not like do like the stupidest like shit right now because there's
Mhm.
lots of stupid like little time savers you can do. But yeah, I'm starting to get in the groove of just like getting all that stuff down because again, that's like pretty much what I need to even like save any time or get golds anymore. Just like little stupid stuff.
Right.
It feels like.
Okay.
So I have one question for movement. Like rolling's the fastest. Let's say it's like a flat field. To get
Yeah.
across fastest, it's rolling, right?
Right.
And you
So
have to. Or go ahead.
yeah, rolling like you basically you shake, like you just crouch and you like shake. It's kind of
Mhm.
stupid, but the most you do rolling, like I guess Sand Kingdom, it's like so widespread. So a lot of that
Yeah.
kingdom is just like from one star to the next. If you're on the ground, you're just kind of shaking like for a few seconds. It's nothing too bad. It kind of seems like when I first saw rolling, I was actually kind of disappointed because I'm a fan of like like
The
the ground
inputs.
movement
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
SM64. I thought I wanted something like that with like dives, and it's like we gotta roll everywhere. It just kind of felt like stupid, but
Mhm.
you don't actually do it in like huge amounts. Like there's not like one moment in the game where you're just like I'm just sitting here like rolling and stuff.
Just
Like
jiggling your stick.
yeah, it might look a little funny under the microphone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, basically. It's nothing even too annoying, so I'm actually pretty okay with it, and you get used to it. I wasn't a fan of motion controls, but
Mhm.
they're they're really nothing that would like make you not want to play the game, I guess.
Okay, so go through the whole pro controller versus the Joy Cons thing. Like which one do people use
Yeah.
more for speedrunning? Does it really matter?
So right now, I'm pretty sure like the whole top 10 basically uses like pro controller. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Really?
Like yeah, like there's a lot of Joy-Con runners. Obviously, it's just because what people have and like people just want to run on whatever. But Joy-Cons are actually in a way they're actually better because they have an exclusive like motion control option. You can
Mhm.
like down throw your hat like mid-air. Um Now it's not actually used right now in the run. Like nobody uses down throws for anything, but there are like these like tiny strats being found that save like 0.2 that
Really?
use down throws. So it's like it's kind of scary. I'm like, I hope some Joy-Con god doesn't just like come out of nowhere and start doing all this like stupid shit with like motion controls. It's just like kind of scary because like Joy-Con the sticks, I really like don't like them. They're very like
Mhm.
Me
they
neither.
just
Yeah.
feel like they feel like nubs, and they're kind of like if you want to spin because there's a trick called like spin pounding. It's something that saves like barely any time. It's just to like accelerate. You might have seen it. Um, but yeah, you have to like spin the stick like really fast, and like I've heard people are like holding their or like people are breaking their like sticks with it. Like
Wow.
I've
Really?
talked to people, yeah. So it's like I don't know. I mean, keep breaking those sticks. I guess like
Yeah.
I don't want Joy Cons coming up.
I've used the
I'm just kind of
Joy-Cons and the Joy-Sticks. They feel very just weak, I guess. So I can understand
Yeah.
how they just break.
I feel like they
yeah.
could just snap off if you pull it hard enough
Yeah.
to one side.
Yeah, so they they do work or they do like give you that extra option, but Pro Control is just like so much more comfier. The stick, obviously, it's like a traditional stick. You can spin it like in a nice circle. It doesn't feel like wonky or anything, and I don't know, just an all around more tight controller. And the buttons being like bigger helps a lot
Mhm.
with like tight like inputs because the Joy-Con buttons are like really clicky. I like the buttons kind of um I don't know. I guess you'd call it
Spongy?
like spongy. Yeah, that'd be a good,
I
probably
know,
good
I know
term.
what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that, and I just don't see myself really running on Joy Cons. But I mean, there are people who are like obviously good with it, and
Mhm.
it's if that's what you have and you want to get into the game, like by all means, like run on Joy Cons, and if you want to switch, go ahead. Because I know a lot of people are switching to Pro, but I have also heard that people are switching to Joy Cons because of like all like the little stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like at the moment, it's run whatever you have. Um, I don't know. I'm just kind of praying that like there's not this like Joy-Con like army just gonna come out of like nowhere.
But it's not.
With
It's
like
not
this.
really. It's not really a controversial topic now, and like people
No,
don't like
it's
complain that you shouldn't use this controller or whatever. There's none of that in the community.
yeah, because like I said, like the whole top 10 basically uses
You're
Pro
right.
controller.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna use Joy-Cons, you're probably gonna have either a harder time like doing some things. I mean, again, you got those down throws, but no one's even using them anyway. Like right now in the 90% route, I can't even like really think of one thing where I'd want to use down throws. But there are some places like people are finding little things, but I don't think it's gonna be big enough to make everybody, especially all the top players, like change their mind. Like, oh yeah, let's run on
Mhm.
Joy Cons now, because like I just don't really see myself doing that unless some crazy secret strat comes out that you have to use Joy Cons. I don't know.
Agreed.
That might be when that might be when I leave. I don't know.
Okay.
So okay, I don't know the terminology. What is the different? What is down throw versus like? I imagine you throw your hat in the air. Is that what's the
Yeah.
difference between?
Well, actually, you can do a down throw on Pro Controller, but only after a ground pound. Like it's really dumb.
Huh.
But like, so if you're in the air, like, so say you want to like use your hat to capture something under you or like break a box or something under you,
Mhm.
um, you can't do that with Pro Controller in the air. Joy Cons, if you just like throw both of them down in like a motion like that, it's like that's how that
Really?
you can like home your cap to something under you. And
Oh.
again, like we've found ways around that to like either be just as fast as down throws on Pro Controller, or like because again there's not very many spots you can use it, but down it's just kind of weird because there's so many buttons on the controller too that
Mhm.
a lot of them there's two hat throw buttons, and the two other buttons like B and A are jump. So it's like they couldn't have just used like more buttons, or we want like some kind of like update where they like give Pro Controller like down throws or something. But yeah, that's basically all it is. It's not, again, it's nothing breaking or like splitting apart the community or anything in any way. So it's not a big problem.
So basically, the community's in shambles over the controllers, is what you're saying?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. I
Not
just
at
sorry
all.
misheard that.
Okay. Let's go on to something that I'm pretty sure um a lot of people are I've been talking about it in my chat recently a lot about Sgdq submissions. Um Now you said earlier that you with us in the call that you want to submit for Sgdq. You want to submit an 80% run.
Yeah, so some of my viewers and just like people in my Discord, they're definitely like pushing me. They're actually in chat right now. Shoutouts. Yo, Awesome Dan, Tish. They're all telling me. They're just screaming at me, submit, submit, submit. And at first I was just like, I don't know.
You got to do it.
It's like because I've watched AGDQ a lot, and I always just looked at it like, man, like how do these people do this? It's just like kind of crazy. Like I can just the amount of people watching, and like the fact that you have to play or you want to put on the best run you can, it just like scares me. So just thinking about it, like, yeah, it definitely makes me a little nervous. But
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna try and submit. I think I just gotta do it. I always say no to things. I think it's just good to just be
No,
like, let's try it.
it's a very exciting kind of nerves, and when you get there, it's
Yeah.
like it's one of the most thrilling experiences, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think it definitely like be good in the long run. Like I know at the end of the day it'd just be like something like amazing that I'd always look back at and stuff. So,
It's gonna be great.
but that's if I go. I'm not. There's no promises. Like even if I do, when I'm gonna probably gonna submit, but like again, there's no promise that I'll.
Right. So
Even
basically,
if I
he's going for sure. That's what he's trying to say.
Mhm.
All
even
right.
if I do get like verified or whatever for it, it's like I still gotta, because I live in Canada, so it might be a little bit difficult to go. But
Dude,
no
just
excuses, because cheese. You
have
definitely-
one and just have
dropping
like
bands.
2 streams where you have like raising money for Sgdq, and I promise you people would donate for it, especially for a game like Odyssey when everyone wants to see it at the next
No, yeah,
Sgdq.
there's lots of supporters too, and again, like so many people have been so supportive of me and shit. So
That's good.
I think if I want to do that, they got my back and stuff. So
Perfect.
yeah.
So any of the other top runners have talked about submitting as well? Like, have you guys talked about submitting a race kind of thing, or?
Yeah, I think I heard Spike. You guys know Spike Vegeta.
Yeah.
He was. I think he was gonna propose like a race or something, but like I don't know if that's like happening anymore. I just briefly like saw clips about it. Don't know if that's really going on anymore.
Okay.
They're thinking that like and just a solid any percent run might be like the best, because like it's gonna be the game's first time in, right? So if you're gonna have a race, it's like I feel like the commentary for it, like, because you want to explain all the
Yeah.
tricks, and like so many new people aren't gonna, it's gonna be too crazy, just like all the different games to commentate. So like yeah, just a one any percent, people feel like that's the most likely to get in, just because a lot of people haven't even seen the run yet, and they're gonna
Exactly.
want all the information about it. Like
That's true.
Perfect.
it's gonna be too much to take in if it's a race. So I've also heard I don't know if you guys know about like 2-player, but playing 2 players in this game is actually faster than 1 player. So like the real world record for beating this game is actually done by Icatrix and Shaden. They have like a 102, I believe, in
wow.
2-player, because like you can like make Mario jump like way more in 2-player. So it's like the mechanics and just like your movement is so much different, and you can do so much things faster, because one guy's Cappy and one's Mario, so Cappy can go do something while Mario is like doing another thing type stuff.
Whoa,
So
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
it's actually really cool. Like if you've seen like just like the 1-player uh world record or whatever in the strats, like, and you look at the 2-player, it's like you see a lot of cool like different things. So I've heard that I feel like I've heard that Icatrix was gonna submit. I'm not too sure. I just heard rumors that like he might try to submit to Sgdq. I don't know.
Dude, that is crazy. I mean, I didn't know about that. I mean, just thinking about it, that kind of seems like it can open up a whole new side of Odyssey speedrunning, like the whole 2-player factor.
Because like yeah, I was gonna say, it's like you never really thought about like teams speedrunning, right?
That's crazy. That's awesome.
So like being able to like be a team, so like we might end up seeing like one day like team any percent races. Like, you know how cool that'd be? Like,
yeah, that would be awesome.
Never I don't think any game has really offered something like that, because like the way the game works in 2-player, it's so much different. It's not like you're just doing everything but like faster. It's like almost like a whole new
route and everything.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Okay.
So do you need to be? Can you play online, or are they like at each other's house?
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to be like in the same room. So
Okay, that's what I
like
thought.
that's like, I mean, yeah, it'd be cool if you could do it online, obviously, because I don't know, it's just way easier. Not everybody has somebody like really close that's like dedicated or like willing to practice with them. Because I'm pretty sure when
Yeah.
they were doing 2-player at the start, like because I think they live in the same like state or something, or really close to each other. So they were always like practicing strats together and stuff like that. And they're both like really good players, so it's no surprise that they got like such a good time. Well, I think they'll probably improve it soon. I think they're gonna be doing they're bringing back the 2-player soon, so
Ooh.
they're probably gonna push that further. But yeah, they're pretty much the only people I'd say right now who really push 2-player. It's starting to maybe gain a little bit more attention, but they're definitely the ones like pushing that game.
Yeah, that's kind of sucks that you have to be in the same room, but I mean, also that's understandable.
Yeah. So yeah, a little bit inaccessible, but at least the option's there, and it is really cool to watch. So I'd encourage anybody who hasn't seen a 2-player run, definitely check it out. Like, it's really cool.
Okay. I guess we should dive into probably the most popular topic, which is the new patch in Odyssey. Give us a run through about what the new patch has
the new patch.
What's it doing? How are people reacting? How do people feel?
So
how's it gonna change from now on?
So I don't think we've gone too crazy yet, but basically, okay. So I guess I should just mention that there's 3 versions of the game right now. 1.0, 1.1, and 1.2. So basically 1.0, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like it's always like the day one release of the
Mhm.
game. It's like unpatched. There's nothing's changed. It's just like that's what they gave us, and it's just gonna be
Mhm.
the cleanest version of the game, or I guess you could say dirtiest version of the game, if you will. And then we had a day one patch, which is 1.1. It was like on,
Mhm.
it was like the same day or something like that. Anyway, basically everybody who got the game, it was like 1.1 right away.
Mhm.
Now, we didn't get 1.2 until maybe about a week ago, and this is
Okay.
when things kind of took a turn because 1.1, if you look on the leaderboards right now, they're all just filled with 1.1s because
Right.
again, it was the day one patch. Um, but they figured it out when the people who had 1.0, they
Mhm.
found a strat in the second kingdom where you can skip over like this like water part at the start. You skip like the first moon,
Mhm.
and you can trigger the boss fight like early, and it opens up the, because I don't know if you've played Odyssey, but like usually in the game it's like you have to beat like the boss or like a story mission, and
Mhm.
then the rest of the moons kind of come out and you can go hunting for stuff. Like not everything is just like spawned right away. So the whole goal behind that 1.0 is like, oh, we can spawn the boss fight early, but that's the thing they patched in 1.1 is if you try the trick and you go to the boss in 1.1, the boss doesn't like show up, I guess.
Huh.
This
So
is in the
that
Sand
alone,
Kingdom
no, this
or
isn't Cascade.
Cascade, right?
So like the second, like the boss fight, the bunny, like the Mama Brutal,
Mm-hmm.
she shows up if you do this trick in 1.0, but she doesn't show up if you do the trick in 1.1. And right there, that alone saves us like 20 seconds of like cutscene.
Dang.
So that's pretty big. But
That's
because
pretty
this was a
cool.
day, the reason why this was actually banned, so 1.0 was banned right away because it was seen as like something that was inaccessible
Mhm.
and something, because again, like people just got the game, they update it, they want
Right.
to just enjoy their casual playthrough. A lot of people just bought it for just have fun,
Mhm.
and they're like, oh well, we don't want to have to like reset our switches and do all this stuff, so they're just like, screw it, let's just ban it. Everyone's gonna play on 1.1. Now, there's also a few other glitches in the game. Like you might be familiar with like Sphinx Clip in Sand Kingdom,
Yeah.
and there's like a glass you can clip into the glass in Luncheon Kingdom with like a turnip. It's like a Hammer Bro glitch.
Mhm.
Um, Now again, those are like the two biggest glitches in the game, and they only save like 15 seconds together if they're done like perfectly.
Mhm.
So so then 1.2 rolls around, right? Which is last week, and they patched out Sphinx and like the Sphinx clip and the turnip clip in Luncheon, which means like not only the 1.0 thing is banned already, but now they're like, oh, we can't do Sphinx clip and we can't do this, so we may as well just allow 1.0 because they already took out the glitches we've been doing for like months already.
Mhm.
So 1.0 being banned a long time ago, they're just like, screw it, we're just gonna let every version be in play because there's so much of a war of like, oh, like what's banned, what's not. Because like I feel like the idea behind it was like it's all okay or none of it's okay type of thing. Because
Mhm.
like we can't be like, oh, now Sphinx clip is banned, now this is banned just because 1.2 doesn't have it. It's like
I
now
would agree.
the leaderboards would all just be screwed up because every
Yeah.
single run on there, or a lot of the runs on there, already do these things. So it's like, what do we do? So that's kind of the big thing right now, and there's a big war. It's like, should we have tabs on speedrun.com like for each version? But then it's like,
Mhm.
but then you have to argue, it's like, well, how does that work then? Because what if we get another update that like changes things? Like if we have a newest update board, and then there could be like an oldest like the 1.0 board, but then
Mhm.
even then it would still like never really work, because I feel like this is the first time in a speed game that this big where you're running into so many like patches and stuff. We just don't really know how to handle it like in a really good way yet.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Every version has a little something different with it. It's nothing too big, but I just kind of, we want the times lower, of course. So I gave in to 1.0 because now it's legal on the boards. So that's what I'm currently doing, and
So
I
you
think a
do.
lot of people aren't doing it because it's like, well, if I want to go to 1.0, not only you have to have the physical version of the game, but
Oh, really?
you have to reset your console, and lose like all your casual files, even all your other game files, like Breath of the Wild and stuff. Like a lot of people are kind of bummed out about that. Or just like have a friend switch or something. So it's just a lot of craziness. And
Okay.
and yeah, for those of you who don't know too, it's like if you buy digital, because digital is actually used to be the fastest version for any percent because of the load times, right? Like digital is usually better load times.
Really?
But if you buy digital, that means you're going on the internet, and that means you're buying the newest patch. So for digital players, you can't go back. Like you can't delete like an update. Nintendo doesn't allow that.
Not even
They just
1.1. You have to use
yeah,
1.2.
yeah, so like whenever you buy the game, like now, especially like new players coming in, and this was the biggest another kind of argument was like, what about for new players that are just coming in? It's like they're gonna look at the world record and be like, oh, I can't even do half these glitches. I'm just gonna quit. Like that's kind of the scary
Yeah.
thing. So that's kind of what we're dealing with is like it's either speed versus like community. It's like what are we gonna want? Because again, like we want as much people to still come in like as we can, and there's new players like every day pretty much submitting, I'm pretty sure. So that's what's hard. So yeah, everybody buying digital or who currently has digital, they can't downgrade. Because physical cartridges, when you buy physical, it comes like pre-installed with 1.0, and you just download the stuff when you connect to the internet. So
Wow.
when I did my factory reset, you just don't connect to the internet, or like, I mean, you can go on the internet, but you have to be kind of careful. I'm trying to like stay away from like doing it. I don't want to accidentally like re-update it or something. But yeah, that's the biggest thing right now, and it kind of sucks. I just have like an empty Switch. It's just like Lonely Odyssey. It's just like offline, just 1.0. I had to like delete
Wow.
everything.
Just to
But
save like 15 seconds.
yeah, it's pretty much
Sacrifices, man.
All right.
because yeah,
Wait.
the one. Oh, go ahead.
So if you accidentally go on the internet and you get the update, is there anything you can do after that?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's like you already kind of deleted everything, so like you just have to factory reset again.
Yeah.
It wouldn't really hurt you.
Okay.
The only thing it hurts is your practice files, because the way practicing in this game works, and it's actually a lot different than SM64. Because with that game, we're so spoiled with like save states and like all that stuff. Obviously, like practicing like a modern speed game is like way different. Because
Yeah,
again, like
Ghost.
a lot of
Yeah.
the popular stuff is like the old games. They got codes and stuff. So for this
Yeah.
one, it's basically just you start a level, you have to save, and then you run through the level, so that like you have to save before you even do anything, so the moons are like fresh moons, they're not just like ghost moons or whatever.
Right.
Is the
Because
animation different?
yeah, so when you grab a moon, it does an animation, and you can do something out of the moon differently than if it was just like a fake moon or whatever.
Right.
So
Really?
that's why you want to practice. You want to practice with fresh moons if you're gonna do like ILs and stuff. Because if anybody doesn't know, IL individual level practice. It's if we want to just run through something. So if I'm running through a kingdom, you gotta save, run through the kingdom, and then like open up start and then like reload the whole level and just kind of do it like that. And if I mess up something, I kind of just like stay on that one part for a while and kind of just like keep the practice going just on that one moon. It's kind of difficult because you gotta keep running back to the same spot since there's no like
Yeah.
save states and stuff. So it can be annoying. And I know that's another thing with people say, oh, practicing this game sucks. So it definitely it's hard in that way. But it also because we're not so spoiled with save states, it makes practice more like, I don't know what the word would be, but it's more like you have to be so much particular. You gotta really look into things. It forces you, not having save states forces you to kind of really look into a strat and be like, okay, what exactly am I missing? Whereas in like SM64, I find a lot of people just kind of like throw themselves at a trick over and over again, and just like
Right.
hope for the best. Like,
Yeah.
so a game
Wow.
with no save states, it really helps. For me at least, I look at every strat like, okay, I need to connect the dots A B C D and like really kind of make it
It's
work as
crazy.
best as I can.
It's crazy you mentioned that because that's exactly what I've said so many times before. The
It's so
idea,
important.
it's the idea of the save states. Like you have a really good mindset, because the idea of the save states is the same thing that I say in Mario 64. I see a lot of people practice, and they use save states halfway through a star, for example, and they grind this one thing over and over again. And what they end up doing is they get so accustomed to that routine that they
Yes.
try to get like perfect segments on the save state instead of like sometimes the save state is like a 5-second segment, and it's like they grind that over and over again. It's like you're not really getting any consistency on the star. What they're doing, they're just trying to get like feel good and get this like perfect segment kind of thing. Whereas if they do full star runs over and over again, that's where the real practice is.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So it's funny, like I popped in SM64 maybe like a couple weeks ago just to kind of like get a feel for the game again because it's been so long. And when I was practicing, I forgot that save states were even a thing. Like it was like an hour into playing, I was like, wait, I have save states, like holy shit. So like, and it made, because I was doing like 100 coin stars or something like that, and it definitely felt better to just like run through it all instead of just like keep like trying that one thing over again. I don't know. It's different between a lot of people I know, but I think that's a good way to look at it because when you really don't have save states, like I was saying, it makes you really sit down and be like, okay, if I'm watching how this strat is done, you gotta like point out all the little visual cues and everything, like every angle you possibly can, and like just like put it in your head and keep doing that strat and be like, oh, I missed this, and it's like, okay, check, I got this, check, I got this, check, I got this, and then it kind of comes together as like a puzzle instead of again just like throwing yourself at it. And it's funny, I have a friend, shout outs to Travis, he's one of my mods. That's kind of funny that you were talking about the save state thing where people just keep save stating this one thing. He used to, in SM64, he kind of used to play with me a little bit, and he'd like be in the air, like mid-air, and he'd like put a save state or something. And it's like, no, he's save state in like the worst possible places, I'm pretty sure. It's like,
There's an
okay,
art to it.
you're not gonna. It's like you're not gonna have the full momentum and like the right angle in the air at this certain time every single time you run this over. So he tries to get it perfect from his like dumbass save state spot, and then he just keeps like fucking it up. Like when he does like the full star, it's like the funniest thing.
That's exactly what. Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of Mario 64 stuff. People who
Oh, he's
practice,
got the milk.
they get ooh,
Love
they-
my milk.
It's just sitting back there for like an hour or something, just getting kind of.
Yeah, but no, but I totally agree. It's a really good point. And I did the same thing too. There was like a period of 6 months last year where I got a new Game Shark and I didn't bother putting save state code. I never put it in because I did it on purpose because I know that it's better to practice without it, because you get the full RTA run through of the stars, and that's the real practice.
No, yeah, I find that such an interesting topic because
It
like
is, yeah.
again, like it's not like I don't put it against people that like if they do like to use save states, so like I mean it's definitely like super useful, especially for like really long stars for like in SM64, I guess. Like if you're gonna be practicing like 100 coin or like
If
you
you're
know
learning a new strat,
Fire Sea or something, yeah, it's just
right?
like just big new strats, like just the one part where it's like, oh shit, like this one, this is
Yeah.
the part that's like really struggling.
But after you know
Yeah,
how to do it, then you should just not use it anymore. You should just do normal practice after that.
Yeah, and I've gotten a good mindset too about it because again, like I said, now that I'm so used to not having save states in Odyssey, I feel like when I do go back to play SM64, like it really, I should up my game a lot better, and I have a clear mind about looking at the way strats work and just like how I think my practice will just be like a lot more like efficient in that way,
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Agreed.
So if you're practicing in Odyssey, and let's say, so you're talking about practice files. If you go through a whole level, like, how am I trying to say this? Like, if it's a really late level in the run, do you need to, like, once you beat it, do you just keep do you keep your file like always unsaved, or you never saving?
So
Like,
yeah,
do you
like
need a file for every level, or how's
so
it?
I actually on my Switch, excuse me, you can have multiple like accounts, like just like on the hub or whatever, and I have about four different accounts on my Switch. The first file, or sorry, the first account has like the first 4 kingdoms in the game, and like I do that for each account. Like there's about like I don't know 15 different splits or so I think I have. So I use like 4 kingdoms per account because you can only have like 5 saves like per account. So that's what I do. I just save each like kingdom to each account. So whenever I want to practice any world, I can just kind of go there, and then it's kind of the same procedure. Like no matter if it's a late game or not, you can always just like save like before you touch anything and make like, a copy of it, and then once you beat it, you keep going back to that copy of the game.
Okay.
Now it is kind of annoying to set up the practice files because you do have to play through the whole game like a few times,
Right. On
like
each
to make it
different
to the end.
profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that can be annoying. And if anybody wants to get into Odyssey, I always say this on my stream. Like make the practice files. Like don't be lazy to make the practice files because once you have them, your motivation to practice just skyrockets.
It
Like
does, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
people who don't do that and they just like because like again if they're gonna touch a moon that they've already grabbed, the strat is different, right? Because the animation's different. So they don't get like the most efficient practice out of that. So definitely like get your accounts like sorted out and like make it organized and just have a world for or save every world in each thing and you'll be able to just be like, oh, I want to practice this trick, and you just go there, and it's just like it's just the best feeling. So that's definitely the best way to practice Odyssey right now. And if
That
there
doesn't
is,
sound too bad.
yeah, no, it's not too bad once you get it down. It does take like maybe a day to really like set them up, but yeah, just get that going. Now something else that's interesting about practicing the game is boss fights. It's like you don't want to beat the boss. You want to just like kill the boss enough or like go to its last phase and then kind of like suicide. Like you want to
Really?
kill Mario. That's how you practice bosses. You got to like beat the boss but like not beat it. You beat it until it's its last hits and then you have to like go kill yourself basically.
Because if you kill it just auto saves, I'm guessing.
Yeah, like on that I mean you can again make the copy, but if you want to practice the boss fight like just the boss fight, yeah, you have to do that. But if you want to do the whole world, then you just go back to what I was saying earlier about like copying the file.
Oh, okay.
Like,
So wait. So when you do the boss fight and you kill yourself on the last hit, and you respawn, it starts over the boss fight. Is what you're saying?
yeah, the
You
whole
just
boss
do
is like from
Oh, okay.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I see now.
So that's like the best way to practice a boss, I'd say.
Okay.
If you beat it, like it's not like it's like some games you can beat a boss and the boss is still like you can just play it again. But nah, yeah, you gotta either just make the whole copy and do the whole stage over again. But if you just want to do it specifically the boss, you gotta keep like killing yourself.
Okay. Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, those boss fights are I've played a little bit of Odyssey. There's one boss fight I died like multiple times on. They all are kind of the same, but the timing's really hard.
Yeah, like the bosses are honestly like pretty like dull in Odyssey. Like a lot of them are the same, and they're just like kind of the same cycles and stuff. The most notably like the coolest one in the whole run, like for somebody who just watching Odyssey for the first time, like the Mecha Brutal fight, like at the end of the game, like that's probably like the coolest one because you're just like flying everywhere and you're like
there's a lot going on.
You're jumping on a big like freaking I don't know big machine. It just looks cool. But the other ones, yeah, they're pretty simple. All it is just like a simple timing. Like there's no really good reason to like mess up like some of the similar like the smaller bunny fights and stuff like that. Like those you don't even like almost need to practice. Like just by doing runs you'll get used to just simple stuff like that. That's how boss fights work.
So back to the topic of the versions. So right now the way the leaderboards work is everybody's on the same leaderboard and it tells you their version that they're using, right?
Yeah, so like that's what you would call like a filter. Like when it shows the like the version of what they're playing, that's just a filter. And like that's another thing that people are kind of worried about is like filters versus tabs. Like the like like the way SM64 is with like VC emulator and N64.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people want something like that for any percent, and they've actually already done this. There's the categories like darker side, 100% all missions, like just like the longer categories. These ones have actually put tabs
Really?
on them, and this is another kind of like it's kind of controversial right now too. With like, oh, why doesn't any percent have these tabs? It's like because if you look at a category like darker side, because everybody played on 1.1. Okay, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this because it's like kind of complicated, but you know that trick I was mentioning that's like 1.0 exclusive? That trick stays like 20 seconds, right? So,
right.
But load times, if you're playing like a 3-hour long category, load times override the time save that 1.0 gives you, making 1.1 the best category for some of the longer categories.
Okay.
But 1.1 is currently unaccessible. So this is what people are complaining about right now. Because again, if you're gonna buy the game or get the game now and you update it, there's no turning back.
There's no way
Anytime
to
you
get just the 1.1 update. Once
no,
you
and
update,
if
it's
you
the
have
full update.
yeah, if you have
Oh.
1.2, like if you updated to 1.2, you can go back to 1.0 if you're on physical, right? Like I was mentioning before, but you can never go to 1.1 again. So the people who have 1.1 right now, it's almost like it's like a rare thing, and people
Yeah.
still run it. Like it's still legal to run, but that's kind of what we're going through right now. It's like, well, should we just ban 1.1 because nobody can get it? But the current world record for like darker side already exists on 1.1. So
Well, how
it's
do
kind
people
of
still
like,
have 1.1? How are people still
Yeah.
able to get it?
well, they just didn't like whenever a new update comes out, the game asks you like, do you want to update? And you just have to say no or like turn off the auto
Internet.
update
Okay.
or internet. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just all that stuff. So there's definitely like ways to avoid it. Like it's not too hard, but that it's kind of a weird thing because the way a lot of people see it is like, oh well, if they're gonna be hoarding these like 1.1 games around, it's like if they're so worried about updating, why don't they just go to 1.0? But like a lot of people, they're like, oh well, we don't want to go to 1.0 because we have to buy a physical cartridge and then like factory restart switch. So it's just the fact that it's not worth it yet. I feel like eventually the community will all be like, okay, yeah, let's just run on 1.0. It's the fastest thing. But it's just that's the hard thing right now is like it's either you're serious about the speed run and you want the best time, so you go to 1.0, or like you're kind of serious about it but you don't really want to delete your stuff or go out and buy a whole new copy of the game because it's still pretty new and stuff like that. So it's really annoying, and with all the patches, it's just kind of at the point where like you should just play on whatever you have. I think playing on whatever you can get at the moment is because again we're still growing. It's not like this thing is. I don't think anybody's been like, oh, I quit, like for sure. Like I know
No, it's
there's a
still
lot of
going.
people.
Fuck this shit.
Yeah, like a lot of people were definitely pissed about it, and they sounded like they were leaving. Actually, one person in particular, I haven't really heard his opinion on the whole thing yet, but you guys might have heard of Valu. Valu is he's top 3 in the game right now in any percent. He's a really good player, and he he has like he plays a lot of other games like Splatoon and stuff. Like he's got files for that. He's always playing, like he's always got his casual thing going on.
Yeah.
He updated to 1.2, and you know he's having fun with that. And I've heard rumors that he's quit, but like I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's like I feel bad for someone like him, and I wouldn't expect him to want to like go to 1.0 because you know, he plays so much other stuff, and it would just I feel like it's kind of just like heartbreaking for that, because you know he's definitely like making some strides and stuff, and I think he could have got world record again. He's definitely
Yeah,
really good.
he was chopping it down.
I mean, he
So
pretty much owned like world record for like a good like month, I think, at a
Right.
time.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
It's kind of sad, yeah.
1.2, go through it with me again one more time. The 1.2 difference between
Okay,
1.1
so
and 1.2 in terms of like time loss or
okay, so it yeah,
and
1.0
1.0.
is okay, so yeah, 1.0, like I said, it has that 20-second time saver just
Okay.
because you can trigger the boss fight early. And that basically means that in 1.1, like you have to get this moon to trigger the boss fight, but in 1.0 you don't need that moon to trigger the boss fight.
Right.
And getting that moon in 1.1 is like a 20-second like cutscene. So that's why we save time in 1.0.
All right.
Now 1.2, the newest patch, there's a little mini game they added. It's called Luigi's Balloon World,
Yeah, I know about
and
that.
it's something where you can like hide. It's like a hide and go seek game with like balloons and stuff. But the thing is, like, people are like kind of cheating the system a little bit with the balloons because you can actually go out of bounds with like clips and stuff. So like you can
Really?
hide balloons behind walls. Like kids would never ever be able to get it. So it's like there are still clips available that you can do in 1.2, but the main clips that like Nintendo knows about, like the ones that we've been doing in the speed run, they actually completely patched those out. Like the traditional way to do Sphinx clip and like the turnip clip in Luncheon Kingdom, those have been patched. And like I said earlier, those only saved like
But
15
only those
seconds.
two things.
Like yeah, they're not only those two things. It's the thing that with the game is right now is either they patch stuff or it's just way harder to do. Like it's more frame tight. It's
Oh,
more
right.
like it's more just like, but yeah, like I'm pretty sure like those two main any percent glitches that we were doing, they're just completely like patched out. So it's kind of so the point of the thing with Luigi Balloon World is like with that patch they probably knew about that people were gonna like go out of bounds and like start hiding balloons from kids and stuff. So I
Those
think
poor
that's
kids,
why.
man.
Yeah. I think that's why, like, the main reason behind, like, okay, let's patch these clips, because nobody thought they would be patched. Because, like, come on, like, no one's just gonna find those by accident. Like, a lot of things that are patched in like modern games and stuff, or just like any game is it's stuff that's easy to run into, I guess. But like these stuff, like it's pretty hard tricks, right?
Right.
So it's only 15 seconds difference without these tricks, because yeah, they're very small and hard to do, and only somebody that's like going for world record or like top 10, like you
Right.
really only like needs them, I guess.
All right. The
So
question arises though. With 1.2, do you think that opens up more opportunities to be able to actually find newer glitches?
yeah, I was gonna mention that too. So
Mm.
that's what we don't know, and like before when I was talking about the community wants to do tabs, like we want like a 1.0 tab and a 1.2 tab. What I was saying earlier was like, what happens when like say the next update comes out and there's an exclusive glitch for like that new patch? It's like, I mean, it would be good because it'd be the most accessible, like everybody can get it.
Mhm.
But it's like, what do we do with all the other runs and like because the whole point right now is like trying to keep it in a way where everybody can still join in and not feel like they're being left out because, oh, I can't play this version. But
Yeah.
there's still that possibility of like a newer patch tab, um having something that, like, the older versions don't have. I mean, it seems kind of rare because, like, again, the 1.0 is like you should be able to do pretty much anything, but you just never know what's going to happen with
Mhm.
patches. So that could definitely happen, like something new could come up, and everybody would be running on the newest one, and it would clear up everything. Like, I think I kind of hope that happens.
Yeah, me too.
But
Yeah.
but at the same time, the thing with the newest patch is it patched out the glitches, and with speedrunning, the glitches are always fun, and they're flashy, they're cool to do, they're little time
Right.
savers there. So it's like for a new player coming into the game, and they look at 1.2 like, oh, I have to run on 1.2, I can't get 1.0, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It's like when you start, you're not even going to be doing these tricks anyway, because like I said,
Yeah.
they're like 15 seconds, so it's something you'd want to work on like later. But a lot
Mhm.
of people are coming in like I feel like they don't care.
No, I
They
know, I know what you mean, because the same way that people start Mario 64, and the first thing they think about is learning stuff like Owlus that saves
Yeah. I
it
was about to say
saves
Owlus.
like 5 or 6 seconds, and
yeah.
and then they try it, and then they can't do it because it's too hard, and they're like, no, this sucks, I don't want to do it anymore. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing with these tricks. So like new players shouldn't worry about it. They might look at it like, oh, I can't have the fastest version, so this isn't for me type thing. I say
Mhm.
if anybody felt like that, like just play the game, the new patch, because like I feel like eventually there's been talks about it that they might add like a 1.2 leaderboard, or a lot of people are pushing for a 1.2 leaderboard on their own, because we still want the competitive nature of the speedrun
Mhm.
to continue for newer players. So like they can still they can feel that, like, I guess, comfort of, oh, I'm just doing everything that the good players are doing. So again, it's all it is just like an accessibility thing. It's really it's so crazy, and it's kind of dumb, all the stuff. Like, again, I just think you should just play on whatever you have.
Yeah.
um no one, because you're not just gonna, by knowing those tricks, like, you're not gonna
Well, technically,
be like top 10 or something.
technically the leaders of the community could make that message come out more to the newer community. So like the leaders could kind of be like, you know, hey, it doesn't matter what um version you have. These tricks don't matter until you're like a top player. This it doesn't matter. So new people who want to play, they would hear that, and they would be more motivated to just play the game, start speedrunning.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people every day in the Discord. It's like, oh, I'm new. What do I do? What version do I plan? Because that's another thing we got to worry about now. Is like, before it was so easy to tell people like what to do, but now
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
this whole version thing. It's like, it's almost like, oh, no, 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 sit down, hear us out, kind of thing.
Right.
We don't want them to, like, we
Oh,
don't
you
want, like,
can make
scare
like
any.
a Yeah, you can make like different channel on the server, probably explaining like the whole all the different versions and the differences and how it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Like a
I'm not too
paste
sure if
bin.
we have we there might be something like that on Discord, like explaining the
Right.
differences. If not, they should like get on something like that. But yeah, I think the bottom line with the whole new stuff thing, it's like if you're new and you're worried about like what version to play on, like you just really shouldn't, because
Hmm.
if you were really serious, like if you were serious like me and you got to a point where it's like, okay, how do we save time, it's like then you'd maybe want to go to like
Right.
1.0, and eventually you would do that if you were that serious. Because if you're not serious about the game and you're still new, you're not going to be even able to do half these tricks, and two, you're not good enough to even if you could do them, you don't need them in the run. So
Yeah.
I feel like
Right.
it's more of like when you get serious at the game, that's when you should maybe look into getting like 1.0 or something. But it depends how much you're into it. I think that really helps
So I
decide that.
guess, or go ahead. Did you have more to say?
Oh no, go ahead.
So I guess in Valu's situation, the only way he could go to 1.0 and preserve his stuff is he would just have to buy another Switch just for Odyssey.
Yeah, that's another thing people are saying too. It's like, oh, well, you can keep all your all your casual things, but we'll buy you a casual Switch. Like I don't think he's asked for that. People probably like proposed it and stuff, but like
Yeah.
yeah, that would like in someone like his case who does play a bunch of other Switch games and plays like competitive Splatoon and stuff, like that would be like the best option for those kind of people. But again,
Hmm.
because it's such a new game, the Switch is still like hundreds of dollars. The game is like it's like $80 or something. It's pretty ridiculous. So
Yeah. 80.
it,
Wow.
oh yeah, Canadian. Yeah, Canadian. It's like a $90 game or something, I
Oh
think.
man.
Yeah. So
Big
just
bucks.
yeah, in general, it's just for someone to be able to do that. I mean, you're right. You'd have to be crazy to do that at the moment. So definitely don't. Would not recommend buying a new Switch. I mean, if you really want those extra 20 seconds, I mean, hey, you could
So
totally
is
do
it
that.
is it 20 or is it 20 plus the clip, the Sphinx and whatnot? So would it be like 30 something?
So yeah, this is interesting too, because you know how I was saying how loading times are better on digital,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because 1.0 you can only get on physical, so you're losing 10 seconds automatically by being on physical.
Oh, okay.
But overall, the trick that we do that saves that much time overrides the amount of load time save we get from digital. So that's
Mhm.
why physical 1.0 is faster. Yeah.
So it ends up being like a total of 20. That's what it is. 20 seconds
It's
faster.
estimated between like 20 and 30. There's no exact time, because we're still optimizing the new trick. Well, it's not an.
Mhm.
I'll say this: it's not a new trick. We've known about it for so long. It's just it finally was like legalized on the leaderboards,
Yeah.
like before 1.0 wasn't. But yeah, we're optimizing more movement in those kingdoms, so we're just estimating like 20 to 30 seconds, but like nobody really knows. But it's definitely faster, and it overrides the digital load times.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That situation reminds me of SM64 in a way, and I feel like I say the same kind of thing. Like if people want to get into it, they'll probably start on emulator, or they might have a Wii that already has virtual console. Like most people don't have an N64 laying around, and that's like you can play on the version you want, but it's typically like once you're really good, you switch to N64 because the best players are on N64.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask about that. Isn't VC technically faster?
By a
A lot
lot.
faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this has to do with like a community thing, because I'm actually, I think, I don't know, you guys probably are too, but I'm all about like original hardware when it comes to like speedruns. Like I just feel like wherever the competition's at and whatever's being the most ran, it's just N64. It's so authentic. Like I just like the
Yeah.
fact that
That's
the
what
the
it.
run
That's.
is on that console. And I was actually gonna ask Cheese
Mhm.
specifically, like this. It's kind of the same argument could be said about Ocarina of Time with like there's different versions of the game. There's different like um, different glitches and whatnot you can do on VC and N64. It's like there's just so much to be said about like what do you think? I want to ask you what is your opinion on just like all the Ocarina of Time stuff, because it's almost similar to what we're going through in Odyssey, I think.
So basically, the majority of the SM64 community, well, I'm not even sure if it's a majority, but most of the people that have been around for years and years have realized and kind of accepted, and they prefer in general, like you said, all the original hardware.
Yeah, it just feels the best.
We prefer the N64 version. We understand and accept the fact that it's the original, and speedrun should be ran on the original version, whatever. This is why that, you know, it's perfectly acceptable if you do a run on VC or do a run on emulator. But it just so happens, it's not like set in stone, but it just so happens that the majority of the community and the viewer community prefer to watch they prefer to watch runs on N64. They prefer to take them more seriously than VC and emulator, right? But it's totally fine and acceptable if you want to run on VC and you submit runs on VC. Sure, go ahead. There is a lot of stuff that happens within the community where a lot of people troll and make fun of people who run on VC and emulator. I don't agree with that. I think that's really stupid, very immature. I'm never gonna make fun of anyone who runs on VC. But I'm gonna tell you that. Yeah, screw them. I'm gonna tell you that no one is gonna take the VC run seriously. It just so happens to be that way. So let's say if someone breaks a world record on VC, if someone gets a 138 right now on VC, technically that is the fastest run of all time. But it just so happens that no one is gonna take it seriously. Everyone is gonna look at the N64 version and be like, this is the real and more proper speedrun, I guess, of the game. Now, Ocarina of Time is a different story. Ocarina of Time are on board with VC and N64. They think everything is equal and the same. If a VC run is faster than the N64 run, that is the world record. People look at that as the real world record, right?
Yeah.
And moreover, whatever the word is, VC on OOT, the 1.2 version, they have some tricks that you can do where you can't on 1.0, kind of like Odyssey, I guess, right? Or 1.1. 1.1 and 1.0 are kind of almost the same for Ocarina of Time, but 1.2, there's a lot of tricks you can't do, and you can do on 1.2 that you can't on the older. So, and that's VC basically. So there's a lot more kind of like, So 100%, for example, OOT 100% is going through a whole new change, where VC is realized to be the faster version, I guess, and the route is actually slower by 30 seconds compared to the N64 route. But because VC saves so much time on loading zones and lag minutes, that VC now is a thing for 100%. That's why CFG has been streaming for like a month, rerouting for VC. And my problem is, my problem is like I still have I have that agreement or view, like the SM64 community does. I think that at least VC leaderboard should be separated from N64. As simple as that. And it's up to the runner if they want to run N64 VC. If, like, I accept the fact VC is minutes faster, and if I want to run N64, I could run N64. And if the person who has world record is on VC, it's on me, you know. But they don't seem to look at it that way. The OT community puts everything in one leaderboard. VC and N64 is all the same.
Yeah. So when I was mentioning earlier about like how our community right now, it's like do we separate the tabs to encourage spit
it out, man. Jeez, God.
Encourage
right now.
Encourage the competitiveness of each. Holy shit! Of each, different version. Geez, I just had a stroke. It's like for N64. I think I heard you mention this before. It's like do you want to see an N64 tab, or do you think that it should just be a filter on its own or something like that? Because that's what we're running into right now.
Wait, are you talking about with respect to Odyssey?
Yeah, like for OOT, it's like, do you think there should be an N64 tab?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It should be VC and N64 should be different, should be separated.
Yeah.
It's a bold
And
claim.
because like you're like for OOT, because it's such a long run, like in the end the loads and like the lag ends up being better for VC in the end.
Yeah, by a
Um
lot.
that's why it's so weird for the world records right now in 1.1 in Odyssey, cuz like the loads override the tricks from 1.0, but like, you know, you can't even run that version anymore. So
Right.
I don't even know what they're gonna do with that. But yeah, like it's not like for us to, I find, to really know and to really have a clean leaderboard, we just have to like wait many years for the game to kind of settle down. Because unless every patch is out, you will never have like the perfect leaderboard, right?
Yeah.
We'll never know until it's kind of all settled down with the patches and stuff. And by then, the community will obviously, you know, also be much smaller, and like people leave, and it's
Right.
gonna
Mhm.
be, it's not the hot thing. So that's why for such a hot game,
Yeah,
you
just
want
give it time, dude. Give it time.
you want the best possible leaderboards right away, but it's just impossible. Like we just can't
Yeah.
do that.
And that's the whole idea of the modern speed game, which is basically the topic of today.
Yeah,
You
there's
just need
just
it.
too many
Y'all just
different things.
yeah, just gotta wait. You gotta wait it out. Give it time, and everything would settle out.
Yeah, because with classics like OT and SM64, it's like they're gonna be the most speedrun games like for forever probably, right?
Right.
Like Odyssey's got its hot moment now, but it's like will we look at Odyssey the same way as, like, you know, the N64 class? Like, I don't know, maybe not, but like that's the difficult thing, is like we might not take the game as seriously later on for people to even care
I
anymore.
think
I
it
don't
will,
know.
Mhm.
but
It should, because people will look at Odyssey as, like, you know, a lot of their first speed game, and when it brought in just like a whole new age of speedrunners. Because
right.
I get people asking me every single day, like, "Hey, I'm new. Hey, I'm new. Hey, I'm new. And this is my first speed run." Like, there's so much work being put into it. It can't just. I don't think it'll just go away, really.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think everyone will remember the Odyssey community. I think it's
It's
cool.
a it's a tough topic, dude, because you'll never get everyone to agree. There's always like
No,
people that want one, they want it one way or they want the other way. So
yeah, it's
it's
impossible. So right now, like, again, because I have the world record, it's like a lot of people are gonna be watching what I'm doing. So it's like, oh no, Nick, don't do 1.0, because then you're gonna encourage the other people to like get or scare them away or whatever. But it's like, oh, run 1.2. That's why I want two leaderboards, so I could play both versions and, you know, get world record in both or something. And then,
there you
I
go.
mean, hey, just
Right.
maybe I can fight for like a different, you know, version of the game or something. I think that'd be pretty fun. I mean, I don't need to do that, but it's like, at the point I'm in is like, yeah, I may as well just do the 1.0 thing. Like, I'm gonna eventually do it anyway, so I'm just gonna get it over with.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think tabs are a good idea, honestly, because it does preserve the competition, like you're saying. Like somebody who's on 1.2, I mean, of course, once they get good enough, they'll probably make the switch unless they're like a
Yeah.
huge casual gamer too, which I don't know how you can be a super huge casual gamer and then also be really, really good at a speedrun, but Valu, there's our boy. So,
Yeah.
um,
Get this
but
man a second Switch.
yeah, so okay, let's say that happened though. Let's say there's tabs. Would you get another switch for one? Would you have practice files on two different switches for
Well,
1.2, 1.0?
nah, you don't need to set up like the whole route. There's nothing changed in the route other than like Sand Kingdom. It's just a very slight route change because you can't do like a
Oh,
certain trick. So I wouldn't need to like practice or anything on a separate console. So if I were to compete on like the newest patch,
mhm.
I can do all the exact same practice I'm doing now and just borrow like my friend's Switch for like runs, and it'd be the same thing. And I could probably just like get the record on 1.2. Like, I don't know.
okay.
It'd work the same way pretty much.
All right. Awesome. We got so much information on Odyssey. Um, I'm seeing people in chat mentioning Melee a bit. Can you give us a run through on your Melee experiences? How good are you at Melee? How long have you been playing Melee?
So I've been playing Melee for, well, it was since 2013. So it's been like 4 years now. Yeah, it's almost like over 4 years, I think. Um, that was my first like taste, I guess, in like competitive nature in gaming,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know, as a kid, like I was mentioning when I was talking about like how I came up in like speedrunning and like just how I viewed everything back then. It's like I've always wanted to be good at like Nintendo games, just all the classics that I've always played. And
Mhm.
Melee is like it was right now, I don't know, Melee is in kind of like a weird state, I think, right now. Like it's still growing. But like when it was like after Evo and like the documentary, like it was like just so hot, it was popping off.
Mhm.
And it was
Yeah.
just like the perfect time to it got so much exposure from like Evo and all that stuff. And I was like, God damn, like I knew as a kid that like this is a game that like had potential. Like it's weird. I knew I just had this like sense of the game. It was like, man, you could do so much in this game, but like I just didn't know where to find anything. Like the resources were just like so much harder to get at the time. So
Mhm.
I knew when I saw something like Evo happen, it was like okay, now I'm just like dive in like full. And that was like when I first started like grinding games to really be good at them. Because I know Cheese was mentioning you don't really play much casual games. Like you play PUBG, and that's like recent. That's your new kind of like love in like casual gaming.
Right.
And like before I started getting to Melee, I used to just sit there and like play casual game after casual game, and it's just like I just kind of like didn't really feel like that fun anymore. And a lot of people might look at something like speedrunning and competitive like Melee as like, oh, you're just playing the same game, but it's like so much deeper than that.
It's
So
Yeah.
I'm glad I found Melee as like that first taste as a game where I can grind. Many people play this; it's basically like a sport. I can really like, you know, I feel like almost like waste. It's like a waste of time for me at the moment to like play casual games, just because like
Yeah.
I'm enjoying competitive games so much more, and like the community behind it is like so much crazier. You're never really gonna get that same thing out of just playing casual games all the time. So for me, ever since I played Melee, it's always just been like Melee for these all these years up until right now. Like the last year I started speedrunning, and I think they go like hand in hand. Like just the whole grind to get good at Melee is like very similar to like that is speedrunning. And it's like I don't see like me turning back. Like I'll play the casual game every once in a while, like if the new big Mario or Zelda comes out. But like
Mhm.
it's hard for me to really, I guess, care about all that other stuff. So um, that's where it's at. As in terms of how good I am at Melee, I mean Melee is a game where it's like you kind of have to like travel a lot, like because it is
Yeah.
like local tournaments. It's hard to be good because I started my community, like none of my friends played. I kind of live in a small city,
Mhm.
so I had to like pick people. Like I would like walk around my school and be like, "Yo, you play like Smash? Like you wanna play?
You trying to
you
smash, bro?
you
trying to Smash, bro? Yeah, yeah, you like Smash?" And they're like, "Yeah, I like Smash. I play like Brawl or something."
I dabble.
I'm like, yeah, this kid, these people would live like down the street from me or something,
Mm.
and it's like, oh shit, like you like Smash? Okay, come over, and then we smash, and it's like immediately we just something about like all our friends. We tell our friends, and like I've made. It's kind of cool to think about. Like I've made this community now that's like it's like a 4-year-old community that's like grown so much in my city just because I
Mhm.
was like, yo, come over, play Smash, and like
That's sick,
that whole
dude.
thing. That yeah, it's really cool, and that whole thing started with that. And because again, we're such a small community, and we all kind of started just from like nothing, I guess. Like we don't have any like good players, like, and we barely travel because we kind of live in a weird spot. I'd say
Mhm.
it's not very convenient, but yeah, I've never been able to really test my skills against like much good players and stuff, just because traveling is always an issue with Melee. I mean, there's net play. I'm not really a big fan of net play. It's a little hard to want to get on that net play grind just because lag and I don't know, just like you don't know really who you're playing, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to know like when you sit down next to an opponent and just like I don't know. I think Melee it's just really cool. It's hard to explain. It's a lot
It's very
different.
related to speedrunning
It's a
somehow.
lot different, but yes, it does go very well with it. And like a lot of people who speedrun get into Melee, or a lot of people play
Vice
Melee
versa.
do the
Yeah, they're
same.
very
And like
intertwined.
we've seen people like Armada lately. He's been doing Odyssey, and
Hmm.
I think you're mentioning. I don't know if I think I heard you say Zero was also thinking about speedrunning or something
Yeah.
like that. So like
Mhm.
yeah, like I feel like eventually one or the other is just gonna like, oh hey, I'll try out this. Hey, I'll try out this. So that's basically where Melee stands within like speedrunning. Like, someone's gonna try it out. Like I feel like at some point every speedrunner is like, yeah, I'll try Melee, or like this the other way around.
Yeah, we've all tried Melee. Me, Simply, and Punkay. Especially Simply. Simply spent. It's the whole reason why he's not playing Mario now. But he can give us that story.
Yeah, let us in on your Melee adventures.
Well, we started. Do you remember? It was some January.
It was December or January of 2015. Yeah,
So January 2016.
2015.
Okay. Yeah. So we started.
Think.
So now it's been. That sounds right. It's been about 3 years. Me and Cheese started. We just wanted to play it just because like we had been watching tournaments a lot, and it looked a lot of fun. I got in because of the doc. I saw the doc. I was like, damn, dude, this is deep shit right here.
It was too crazy. Like after you watch the doc, you just can't like not play.
It's so hype. It gets you so into it. It's like it's definitely a great intro into the scene and the game. And we'd play on. Cheese lived in Trinidad, and I lived in the U.S. So we'd play net play, and the buffer would be like 8. So it'd be like the worst thing on the planet. But that's how I got started. And when I went to college, there's a Smash group on campus, and I dedicated a lot more time to Melee than Mario. So like my focus started to go more towards Melee than Mario. Like I was starting to get pretty good at Mario, but I had like a 140, 140, and I think world record was like 140 something, or maybe it was a low 141. Might have been 140 though.
It was 140.
But, yeah. And so I spent a lot of my freshman year playing Smash, a lot of my sophomore year. Sophomore year, I went really hard. Like I switched to Fox halfway through freshman year. Who's your main, by the way?
I actually, it's kind of funny. I first I mained Falco at the start, and it was like, it was obviously it's kind of hard life when you're starting. You're just like doing dumb things as Falco. You just want a laser. And then I actually played Kage. You guys know Kage?
Right.
Mhm.
The Ganon player.
Yeah.
I actually he went to a Canadian tournament, and I went there, and like he destroyed my ass. So I was like, damn, dude, Ganon's sick as fuck. So I picked up Ganon, and I kind of side mained Ganon with Falcon for like a few years, just because like Ganon kind of sucks at some matchups. So yeah, the Falcondorf, like the nun thing, and then he's obviously like I'm just kind of like a filthy like nun copier, I guess you could say.
Dude, Falcon's the best character. That was my main.
But yeah, like I find I have a Fox, but it's just like I'm too inconsistent with it to really. It's just hard. Being a Fox is very hard when you're coming up. So I found Ganon. Like I put so much work into that character, and I like all my tournament like results are with like Ganon and like Falcon for the most part, I think. But yeah, that's who I play.
Nice. Yeah, so I played Marth, and like people were getting salty because this community had been going on like it was my freshman year, so I'm new to the school, right? These people had been playing the community had been around for like 2 years, and I quickly just bopped them because I had been playing net play and I had been grinding a lot, and I was like, oh, I'll see how they are, and so basically I got tired of bopping them with Marth, and I was like, all right, and people were getting salty. People were like, I could clearly tell that people were getting annoyed that I was playing Marth. They're like, you can only do this because you're Marth.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So then I picked up Fox, and then that was a rough start at first. Lost a couple tournaments, got like second or whatever, but eventually, after enough practice, because Fox, the thing about Marth is he's like very fundamentals, right? You don't need to grind a lot of technical stuff for Marth, but for Fox, like some of his best options, you have to grind them really hard because they're really hard to do. Like Shine Out of Shield was the last thing that I was practicing.
Yeah.
But long story short, after grinding enough Fox, my arm just like started getting really tired, like burning after playing too much. So I was like, okay, I can't play this game anymore. It's something that Siglemic ran into as well. Like he played Mario and then eventually switched to Melee, and then Melee bopped his arm because he went really hard on Fox. And then so I dropped Melee, and then I got back into Mario, but Mario kind of did the same thing, and now here I am with a bopped arm, and I'm just kind of waiting, slowly recovering.
Damn, maybe that's why my Fox isn't as pristine as it could be. My arm's not fucked yet. Maybe I need to fuck up my arm or something.
I think that's how it works.
Dude, like everybody I've heard that plays Fox, they're like, oh yeah, my hand hurts, dude. I got these hand problems, or like this one motion feels weird. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm not seeing results. I'm not putting in that extra in like my like movement or something. I don't know what it is, man. Might need to like break an arm or two. I don't know.
Or
So,
3.
or
Shit.
3. Yeah, shit. So yeah, I play. I don't play melee because again, with speedrunning now, it's like man, like it's so hard for me to like sit down and play some melee, like to practice.
Mhm.
Like I'll still play with friends once in a while, but it's definitely something once I go dive deeper into speedrunning and it kind of cools down a little bit because it's so competitive right now. It went on in Odyssey. It's like I do want to balance it out and try to be good at melee and maybe go back to some other old speed games and stuff like that. Because yeah, and like you were saying too, as the fox thing, it's like you go so hard on like these one tricks, and then it's like the thing with fox is because he's so punishable, right? When you miss something, it just like you just feel so defeated because you work so hard on like one trick or like one like move, and it's like it doesn't
Yeah.
work, and you get peach down smash, and you take like 60%. It's like almost like
Right.
draining. Like it's like such garbage. I hate it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like such a scrub thing to say, I guess. But
that makes
that's like
sense.
you're saying with your Marth when you just like you kind of like just swing around and kind of like
Mhm.
take wins. People, oh, like you just win with Marth. It's like I don't know, like that's such it's such a scrub thing to say, but also like it with Fox. I could see people who are playing Fox like get mad at that because it's like, man, I knew what you were gonna do, but I just messed up. Like I
Yeah,
always have
dude,
that
that stuff
John.
happens all the time.
I John, so like a lot of people I play with, they know I John a lot. Like it's like, oh, I read you, I knew exactly what you were gonna do, but yeah, like I just missed this one stupid like button press, and now I just get like chain grabbed, or like I took like 70 damage from a down smash. Just
Right.
it's really annoying. So I don't know, it's kind of
So,
funny.
so you're
Thought I'd
that
share
guy.
that.
Okay.
You're the guy that's
I'm the
throwing
Johnner.
Johns around.
Oh yeah, I'm a Johnner. I think you know what, speedrunning and like the mentality that goes with like because in a tournament match, I guess, like when you're on a good run in speedrunning, it's like similar to like if you're like about to beat a good player in melee. I think it's that feeling like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this, oh my god, I'm gonna do this, and like me playing melee, I think helps to just like calm me down and stuff, just to know that I've been in these scenarios like multiple times.
Right.
So I think that's an interesting thing to bring up, is that not only melee and speedrunning have a lot in common, but just like the mindset
The
that
similar
brings.
mindsets, right?
Yeah, just like in a tournament match versus on a good run, it's the same kind of feeling. So I think I have a lot of experience in that melee sense to where like I don't choke many like runs, or I don't think, or I
Mhm.
don't, if I'm near the end of the game, I'm very good at keeping composure, I guess. So that's something I think melee has taught me, and that's maybe why I feel like I might be a step ahead of some people in like mindset.
Right.
It's definitely
Yeah,
a big part of speedrunning, and
it
it's not
is.
like something you can kind of see it like through how somebody's acting or their attitude, but there's a lot like behind the scenes, I guess,
It's a
in
lot
that
of mental
regard.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's honestly such a, and something funny about the speedrun too is like they look at the sum of best, like a clearly unoptimal sum of best that can be like they can gold so much, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh well, how am I gonna like lower my time? My sum of best isn't even that, and then they're like not even paying attention, and they'll like get like a gold split, and they're like, oh, I can save time here. It's like what they purposely like play like on this like kind of like average level, where it's like they just think, oh, I can't be better than this, so they just kind of play average. Like I've seen it so many times, like people surprise themselves so much with
Dude,
like
that's the theme of speedrunning.
where they can
Yeah.
save time and all this stuff, and they just like get so down, and like when you got to just give that like initial like shock, like, oh wait, I can actually like I just did that, wait, and then it opens their eyes like, okay, that's where I know I'm like weak, is like I just think that I can't save time here, I think I can't do this, but it's something you just get over really quick after you realize, oh shit, like that's what's holding me back.
Awesome.
Yeah, you learn a lot of new things like as you play. Have you found a lot of little things in Super Mario Odyssey that you don't really notice if you're just watching and you don't play the game?
Like if I'm watching somebody else play or when I'm playing.
Like, let's say the average person who doesn't play Super Mario Odyssey versus when you're playing or when you're watching,
Oh.
do you feel like you see the game differently or you see movement differently?
I wouldn't say so actually, because a lot of the people that play Odyssey or like for the first time, they don't know any of like the cap combos and stuff. And actually, something about Odyssey is like I was saying before. There's so many options in terms of movement.
Yeah.
Like there's so many ways that you can do something the exact same. Like say like a ground pound jump, for instance. Like if you do ground pound and jump, it's like the same height as a backflip. So it's like, oh, like
That's crazy.
which one's better? So I mean, obviously, like, okay, backflips are better because they're more quick. You don't have to do the ground pound. But like in some instances, like because they're the same height, a lot of people find ground pound is easier. Um, so they just kind of throw that in the runs, and that's the little time saves I was talking about earlier. Like ground pounding and jumping are so it's such an easier way to set up your camera and get the same height, but the backflip is like that little like not even half a second time save, but
They all
that's
add
like
up,
the more
dude.
it's the more advanced way to do something.
Right.
So a lot of the people, yeah, again, you can use whatever you want, and you can do a lot of the same tricks, or you can climb up like a building the same way, but there is like a clear, I think, faster way. So it's just just the little stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't think anybody that's like new can really I can see anything and be like, oh, like that's something I've never seen, because there's too many movement options. They're not gonna really know how to like utilize everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Um.
I
Let's go ahead.
I have one more question, and then do you want to go to Q&A?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So as it stands right now, is there many strats that you're not doing? Are you doing all the most like known optimal stuff for each moon? Like how much more can you be doing
So yeah,
as of now?
I guess I should mention with that too is like something I've always done, and I think this is what helped me get good too, was whenever I would PB, and because there's always something new you can add in Odyssey just because of like little stuff, and there's little stuff being found all the time, but it's like
Mhm.
every time I PB, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna add this, 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 and this, and then you
Okay.
kind of like keep it in a cap, and you say, okay, I'm just gonna do these, and when I next PB, and this was like early on when I was like getting like big PBs and stuff, I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add this. I feel like now people are adding all this too many strats at once, and it's just like too intimidating, and it's just like all over the place. Like when I was starting, I feel like I added a strat, added a strat, added a strat every time I PB'd, and again,
Mhm.
it's like now I'm at a point where like yeah, I should be doing everything. There are maybe like one or two things I shy away from that are like 1 second time savers or something that
Mhm.
are like clearly harder than the other one. But it depends on pace, and I think you guys would also like agree with that. Like depending on pace, it's like ooh, I don't know. You kind of have to like
Yeah.
decide like should I go for that, should I not? And it's just like tiny stuff. So right now, I think I do pretty much everything that I could be doing, like that I can think of. Um, there, actually, one thing that comes to mind that I don't always go for on purpose. You guys know about I talked about the Sphinx clip earlier in Sand Kingdom.
Mhm.
Um, if you do two Sphinx clips, it's actually faster than just one. Like you can do a double Sphinx clip that like saves a sec. Like it's a two. I don't know. You'd have to see it. It's weird to explain. But if you do
Yeah.
two out of the loading zone, it like it gets you it saves you like about a second or something.
Hmm.
And but it's like a frame perfect trick. Um, so to do it twice is like, oh, like I don't know about that. I can just like do it once and get the frame perfect trick over with, like first try or whatever. And just kind of like leave it and like lose that second. But it's just stuff like that, I guess. But that's a very small instance of it. And that's probably
Mhm.
the first thing that comes to my mind is just like maybe double Sphinx clip. And like there's a couple boss strats that I probably don't do yet. I don't know. It's yeah.
So
I'm still adding stuff, and it doesn't I'm definitely not like done adding strats, but it's like it's really closing in. So I definitely feel like I should just like throw it all on myself right now.
do other runners who have slower time than you, like Shaden or Valu, etc., do they do strats that you don't? Do they do strats that are faster that you don't do?
So actually it's now that you brought up Shaden, I wanted to say something about Shaden.
Sure.
So Shaden was he was like I guess the first person who really dominated. Like there was like a few people who like there's like the first week of the game, there was like I Am Tendo, like he was like,
Mhm.
you know, the early like god of the game, and then it was like Valu who really had records for a lot, and then Shaden kind of came out of nowhere, and he had a really good run on his his first run was like a top time at the time, and people are like, what? And then
Mm.
people are like, who's this guy? And you watched his shit, and it was like he was doing like some nutty things that everybody else was like scared to do. Like it was really interesting. So what I wanted to say about Shaden was like when he came around, he single-handedly made people go for hard strats. Like he gave people balls. Like when I was doing things at the time, I'm like, oh, I'm doing all like the most like consistent, like fast shit, and it just felt good, like the gameplay. But it's like it felt too easy, you know. And then
Mhm.
he came around and he really showed off like some like new movement. And I remember just like the things he was doing, it looked so scary, but I'm like, man, I can't just let that happen. And I just kind of like kicked myself a little bit, and I was like, okay, I gotta learn this stuff because what he was doing was just so cool. And he kind of like Shaden definitely invented a few things, and he always had like something up his sleeve. Like every time you used to watch his stream, even now, like he just recently came back to the game, and
Mhm.
even now he's like pulling out some like little time savers. It's like, whoa, that exists. Like that's pretty weird.
Right.
So he yeah, he did a lot of new stuff that I feel like changed the community in terms of how we see like little time savers, because like everybody was scared to do things until he came around, and like I saw him as like my like direct like rival. Like I gotta be doing all this extra stuff to keep up, and like I don't know, it's just one at a time. I did that, and it kind of helped. um but yeah, that's funny about Shaden. He I think changed a lot of people's minds of like how they look at like movement and stuff like that. That's how I see it. Anyway,
Awesome.
like what was the question again? I kind of just went off about shading.
Oh, if any other like runners like Shade, Novalu, these guys, do they do strats that are faster that you don't do in your current world
Oh,
record?
right. I don't think so. Like if I think of it, it's just like maybe one or two tiny things.
Right.
Mhm.
Like maybe that Shaden does. Like Shaden specifically, because like I said, he'll just randomly pull out this like weird thing that's like, whoa, that's really cool, and that saves like not even a second. But like I
Right.
guess I got to do that now. Just a couple like and like some of the stuff at the end game, like the boss fight, like the mecha brutal fight at the end, you can climb it on the left side or the right side.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't really matter, but like if you climb it on the right side, it's an easier way to like hit the to get an easier cycle on the boss, I guess.
Right.
But it feels more risky like at the end of the fight. So it's like an easier like beginning almost, but the ending of the fight's like a little awkward. I still have to like work on it a little bit, but that's like something that like he started doing in his runs.
It's sort of
So
like where Bits has left and right side in Mario 64 as well.
yeah, I guess you could say that. So yeah, in this way, it's like yeah, like you kind of have to pick one, but most people go left because it makes the rest of the fight easy. But going right makes the first half of the fight easy, but like the second half, I find it just feels like weird.
Is
Mm.
it
But
the
yeah,
camera?
it's just like the Mecha Brutal. It takes like steps. Like it's like this giant machine, right? And it takes steps, and like you have to wait for it to take a step to like attack,
Mhm.
or else you're not gonna know where you are really. If you go left, it's like hard as hell to like get the second hit without it taking a step. But if you go
Mhm.
right side, it's easier to get it without it taking a step. So you save like a second by like not taking a step type thing. But
Okay.
at least in my opinion, that if you go right side, it makes the end of the fight a lot different because like the bubbles, the order that you kill each bunny in is like different, and it kind of like changes the fight. But that's just something small. I got to work on it. It really shouldn't be too hard. It's just a tiny thing. Um,
Okay.
Okay.
but yeah, like again with Shaden, it's like anytime he does something, I feel like I just have to do it. Like I like push myself to
I mean, that's
really do
good.
that.
That's great. It's a great mindset.
Yeah, because the competition of this game, if it wasn't as competitive as it is, like the times would just not even be close to as low as they are.
Right.
Like the fact that so many people, like I've got strats from him, and he's probably got strats from me, and and like Valu, same thing. Like we got stuff from him early on, and
Mhm.
like yeah, I think it was just that group of like five or less people who were like really like, oh, I can do this part a little faster than you kind of thing, and
Mhm.
that's what really brought the times down. And so yeah, anything that he does, I'm just like doing it, and like you got to be on your toes about trying to learn just the tiny stuff. So that's the influence that like he gave me, I think.
That's pretty interesting you say that. I'm sure you're thinking about this too, Cheese. Nero, when Nero came out, like he was a really old school Japanese player in Mario, if you aren't, and he came
What's his
back.
name? Nero?
Nero X2, yeah.
I've never heard of him.
He was like he changed the game, dude. Because I think
He
Punk
brought a
was
new
at,
meta game, yeah.
What year was this?
Early 2015.
yeah, that sounds right.
Hmm.
He invented the continue no save strat. Like before he came, we always saved after a star, and that loses at most 8 frames,
Mhm.
and that's a lot. Like 120, well, not 120, but somewhere it ends up saving like 20 or 30 seconds, and we had no idea.
Yeah,
And
that's
he
crazy.
came out of nowhere, like after a really long hiatus. He had the world record back in the day, but then he stopped playing. He came back and he had a bot project, and it was like 10 people in front of him, and it was just like he's knocking these people down, and
Yeah.
it was like no competition. I think he practiced for like 3 months before, and then he did 1 or 2 months of runs and cut his time down like 4 or 5 minutes.
The potential
And
he
he had a lot of
had.
new strats too, like all
Yeah.
these new strats that we had never seen, and he just kind of opened our
the
in the same way that
potential-
Shaden did.
The potential he had was way like higher than me simply in Punkay at that time by a lot. So he just brought this whole new meta game, and we learned all these new strats. By just watching him play, and he just took world record in like what 2 months of doing runs again.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, that's really
insane.
cool.
Right.
And then he just left.
And he just
again.
left, and that was it.
Damn. Yeah, that's cool that like that whole like save and quit or the continue and not save thing. It's like
Mhm.
it's like yeah, it's like oh you can actually save a good amount of time out of this, but it's like you know when you first start doing it, you're probably like oh shit, I don't want to accidentally like quit. So like a lot of people would shy away from doing it, and you just be like you know like, let's just keep mashing A or whatever, and we'll just like go on with our day. It's kind of like the same thing where it's like whether to backflip in Odyssey or whether to ground pound jump. It's like
Right.
that's the difference. Backflipping is so much more awkward than a ground pound jump, but like it's those things you gotta like push yourself to do. That's and you know you'll see like big results. You'll surprise yourself with just those little things in the end of the run.
Oh damn. Okay, boys. Let's get
Wait,
into
I got one more. I got one more question.
All right.
And then I swear the last one. So, all right, right now your time is 1:04:20, right?
Blaze it.
Plays it.
Okay. So,
Sorry, I'm a good boy. I don't do those things.
so how strong is your drive for the game right now? Like, what are you aiming for? Do you feel like there's going to be a time you get and you're like, all right, I'm done now, or what do you see your future in
Yeah,
like the next year?
It's kind of as far as we can really do it. Like I don't have an end goal because like I
Mhm.
mean if I say like oh I'm gonna get like 103, it's like then the times is gonna get lower in like a few months, and I'll be like, oh wait, I
Yeah.
didn't even know that could be possible. It's like you gotta as a top. I feel like as a top runner, it's almost like you have like or you just feel like you have like responsibility in a way of like to push the game even when you like reach a really good time. It's like we know like damn well that we can like still push it. I mean it's gonna be really rough, but like that's just something that like I've accepted, and like I'm still enjoying the game. I know that like even when I get like a 103 or like 102 right now, there's actually a guy, um, Hayano Shinobu. Shout out to him. He's a Japanese runner of Odyssey. He actually made like a theoretically best. Like he took all like the best clips out of like the Odyssey runners right now, like and like chopped up like a spliced run
Mm-hmm.
of like what the out of everyone's golds like the top like 4 or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he got like a time of like 102, like a mid 102 or something. That's what it's like
Dang.
sitting at right now.
That's
And
exactly what
like
they did in Mario 64 community. Like a few weeks ago, they did that, and they got a 135.15.
damn, that's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an eye opener for sure. Like it's like I mean, you don't really notice it, I guess, when just like watching someone. You're like, oh, I'm going as fast as I can, but it's like no, you're not. Like
Yeah.
there's
No, you're not.
there's all these there's just crazy depth to it that you again just things that you can't even see through. So you really gotta like study. It's more than just like just trying to be perfect at what I'm doing right now. There's just so much more to it. And again, the game is still so new. It's almost crazy already the fact that it's like, you know, you're asking me it's like, oh, like when do you think I guess would be like a goal, or like do you see yourself stopping? It's just like it's so early. It's really hard to say. So
Yeah.
I know for sure that we're gonna see some more strats, and I'm just gonna be around as long as I either have a drive, which I still definitely do. I mean, I stream the game every day pretty much. I'm always trying to push, and I think with that we'll eventually see like hopefully a big drop in the time. And again, we're so close, like, well, in a way it's like we're so close to sub hour, but we're so far still. Like that'd be kind of like the dream, I guess.
Yeah,
But
that would happen sometime in the
that's a
future.
lot. That's for the future, and it's a lot of works to still be done. And I think we're not gonna stop like anytime soon, like pushing,
Don't
because
stop till you get enough.
yeah, community's too crazy, too nutty, and too much people care about the game for it to just like kind of go away after we hit like a 102, for instance, because it'll happen. It's I don't know. Well, we're gonna see some new things. I think we're gonna be surprised any day now, maybe. Who knows?
Great, that's good. Okay, any more questions before we go in?
One more. No.
Okay, one more. All right, all right, boys.
It's like PUBG all over again.
We're gonna go to the Q&A section. We have quite a lot of questions here on the Discord, so I guess we'll dive right in. Actually, I saw a question from Punky that's kind of interesting. He wanted to know, what are those games you have behind you? Like all those box games. Are those games, or what is that? That you
Yeah,
have
so
behind you?
I actually collect. I've been collecting retro games because again, I'm just such a huge Nintendo fan,
Wow.
and I've been collecting games for like since like the 8th grade, I think. I have a lot
Damn.
of I have a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I would show. I've actually promised my stream like a room tour at one point. I keep like throwing it off. But yeah, no, I got a lot of like retro games and stuff.
Mhm.
I actually watch Punk a lot, and I know he talks about like I see his like N64 stuff on Twitter and stuff. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
he now.
He's got an
He like
insane collection.
collecting all
Yeah.
that good stuff.
He's a huge fan of you
Yeah.
now. All of a sudden, since you said that.
Ooh. But yeah, no, I got a pretty good amount of stuff. I wouldn't say I have like anything like crazy rare. I got a few gems, but it's my collection is just mainly like all the best and like highest rated like Nintendo games. I have a few like box stuff. I mean, all around my room. Like again, you barely see anything now. But
Damn.
I don't know. It'd just be too much to go over. But yeah, I've been collecting for a long time, and gotta love the retro games.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
All right, so the first question I see is a pretty long one from Star on the Discord. All right, she asks, some families are very supportive of speedrunning / streaming. Some may be less, or some maybe less so, or not understand as much. How did you guys introduce your families into your choice to speedrun and stream? And do you have suggestions for people starting out whose family members may not understand as much?
So it's kind of weird because like ever since I've started playing Melee, like that's like all I grinded all the time. Like I was still just kind of like just always in my room, always playing games, playing games, playing games. And it's kind of no different. Like they knew that like I was always into games. I mean, I've been doing it forever.
Right.
It's a little bit in a different way right now. But yeah, telling them about like the stream and stuff. I mean, like they don't really care. Like it's funny. Like my mom actually, there's a clip of me tying the world record for the first time. My mom walked in the room and she's like telling me to like keep it down or something. And like I was on the last part of like Bowser or whatever, and it's a really funny clip. I was just like, Mom, I'm speedrunning, and just sitting there like, and then she comes back in the room later. I'm like, Mom, I tied the world record, and she's like, oh, cool. Now what? Like
Good
she
for you,
just
honey. Maybe it's time to go outside. You
All
know?
right,
Yeah,
it's late. Go to bed. Love you.
and that's actually something I wanted to say earlier is funny. But like you guys, when you guys like Simply gets a PV, and your mom's like all happy. It's like really funny.
Yeah.
And like
Dude, I
she
can't
like,
escape it.
they're always
Even when
watching-
I'm up at college, she calls me on my phone. It's like,
Really?
always
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that clip. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're always watching. And like cheese with like your grandma. It's like really cute.
Yeah,
So it's
she
like
loves it.
yeah, no, I don't. I don't know. My mom, it's like she's kind of starting to understand it more because again, she just doesn't really get it. It's still kind of new for me because like I just recently got like partnered on Twitch and like I'm streaming like a lot more now than I was before, and like this is like all I do, and she's just like like what's going on, what's going on, but
Does she
for
understand
the
more
most
now?
part. Yeah, like I think as time goes on, because like again, we have the same arguments like almost like every day about it. Like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's eventually it's just like yeah, like no,
No,
this is what I've been doing.
she's
It's
gonna
what I love.
understand.
I don't know.
She's the more
Yeah,
you do it, the more it becomes natural. It's same thing happened to me.
yeah.
Um,
So it'll take some time because again, it's still kind of new to me, and
right.
she every time I tell her, it's like, oh mom, like, and then when I actually got the world record to myself, like not just like tying it, I was like, okay, mom, I actually got it, and she's like, oh, cool, now what?
Eat your
She always says,
broccoli.
she's always like, did you make any money? That's
Right.
like the
That's
Yeah, that's the question I
what
always
like
get too.
what do you have to tell her to make her be like, oh okay, it's be like, hey mom, I got the world record
I know,
and I made
but
money from it. She'd be like,
it's like
oh
when
okay, great,
Yeah,
cool.
dude, the ears perk up. You're like, oh, you got money? All right,
Yeah.
tell me more.
you got money, you got that shmoney, like I don't know, she's always it's like the first thing, it's like, oh well, hope you're making money or something. It's like
Yeah.
a little bit, but you know,
Couple bits here and
it's
there, get
couple
by.
couple tits every there and here. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely funny. Like at the start, is more like oh like you should just like not do that, but they kind of they kind of own up to it a little bit. Like later, I'd say it's still on its way. We're not there yet,
Right.
but because it's still very new, like I was saying. So yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Just I'm just gonna keep doing it. You know, she'll understand.
That's good. So the second part of the question asks, do you have suggestions for people starting out whose family members may not understand? So what suggestions? I guess we could all answer that one by one. What suggestions we
So
have for new people starting out?
like in terms of like introducing it to their families.
Yeah, it's whose families have trouble understanding it. What do you think that how do you think they should approach it or tell their parents about it?
I don't know. It's because like for me, like I was saying, like I was always just playing video games, so it was easy to kind of just do it and like because it's kind of just what I was doing anyway. As long as you're like in your room, they don't know what type of game or what kind of thing you're doing. You're just kind of playing games to them. Like it's all just the same thing. So I think if you already grew up and you're that passionate about games and you know that and they already know that you play games, it's like going into speedrunning is really like no different. I mean, if you're gonna start streaming and like they don't understand streaming, I mean maybe like just let them know like yeah I'm gonna stream or like
Right.
I want to be good at this game and just like give them a brief example of like what it is. They're not gonna get it at first I
Right.
guess, but like again if you really you shouldn't really care too much about like what they have to say I guess in a way like I mean not like oh screw you mom I'm gonna go speedrun but like just
Bitch.
yeah, just do it. If you like games and you're always playing games, I don't know. Again, it just depends like how used to how used to the fact that you play games, like how your parents already like see that. I don't know. Shit like
Perfect.
that.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
go ahead.
well, I was gonna answer the first part, like how they got into it. My parents had no idea, like how you said, it's just me playing games in my room.
Yeah.
But once I got third place, like that was a big moment when I got that 143.10. It was
That was
like way
actually
back.
second place.
Or second place, yeah, that was
Yeah.
second place. And I was so happy. I ran down and I was like, "Mom, I got second place." And she's like, "Oh, what does that mean?" And then she was like really into it. Like she got really into it in the whole Twitch thing, and now she really likes the stream. And it's it wasn't something I would have ever introduced until like I got big. That was how it was for me at least. Like once I actually was good and I was really into it and I was gaining a following and whatnot, then I was like, oh, I should tell them about this. This is pretty cool and they might find it interesting. But if it's like, oh, I just started speedrunning, I have one viewer on Twitch, mom. Can you come give me some bits or something, please? It's like I don't know. I don't.
Please.
But yeah.
Mhm. I guess what I was gonna say, which I can't remember. God damn it. Suggestions. I guess it's like yeah, when if you have a family that knows that you love playing video games, you played video games all your life. I guess you could approach it a way that basically you tell them, hey, now I'm playing video games, but people are actually watching me and I'm able to live stream it, you know. So I have an audience, you know. and kind of let them know that if I keep doing this, I can gain more audiences and potentially make money. And once you mention the whole money and like long-term aspect, that's probably the best way that they could understand it more. And it's either they support you or don't, it's kind of hard because if they don't support you, it's kind of just like you just have to kind of push through the painful part of them not appreciating it
No, yeah.
until they do appreciate it.
They go
Times-
for the 100 bits, bitch.
100 hits I bitch.
Yeah, like times are changing and stuff. I mean, it's almost like not like we've seen just with like Twitch and stuff. It's like you can make a pretty good living doing something like that, and like of course it's like it's very hard to do, and you got to really be like known and like streaming for long and like be a top runner type thing. But yeah, once they start to see stuff like that, it's just like, and once we see more people, because there's definitely like more people like getting that opportunity to like stream and like do this as like a full-time thing, and like the fact this is getting bigger, it's like eventually there'll be so much examples you can show, because before it was almost like, oh, there's just like one guy who does it, and it's like, oh, I want to grow up to be like him, but like they're just like, oh, you're retarded, like don't, like,
Right.
So I think that's good too, that the fact that it's getting bigger, it's easier to really show the examples of like, okay, this is possible, and then they might understand. Because my mom still thinks that like whenever I tell her, oh, I got world records, like, oh, what, out of how many people, like who does that? Like nobody does that. It's like, well, I don't know, there's like almost like 2,000 people, and she's like, it still seems like such a small like thing to her. I think, I don't know, it's kind of
Yeah, but she'll
Maybe once you do Sgdq, she'll be like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, Sgdq would actually be, well, if you do Sgdq and she sees that live, she would realize, holy crap, this is huge, and she sees how much people that watch it.
No, I thought about that, and I was actually, now that you mentioned that, I didn't even bring that up yet. I was gonna tell her, because I didn't really know that I wanted to. I think I decided, yeah, I'm probably gonna submit. But yeah, I didn't tell her until I really like decided. So I haven't even mentioned about GDQ yet. I'll be like, yeah, like this is just it's a big opportunity. It's pretty big deal. We're raising some good old cash there for like cancer or
like
something.
$2 million, no big deal.
We raised a couple million there. So
couple
and
bones.
then you see like what, how much I think Cheese on your 120 run, you had like what, 25, or what was it, 250,000 people
I have
watching?
no clue.
I
guess so.
Sure, yeah, I was watching it at my friend's place, and I believe it was like 250.
Someone told me that it was the most viewed run ever on GDQ so far, or
was.
something like that.
It had to have been, because
that was a hot run though.
It was.
Dude, one thing I want to say too is like, about, I guess I should ask you like about like what you thought about going into your run, because like it's something that like I'm new to, and like I'm so nervous to like try it. It's like when there's like that big trick coming up, like HMC BLJ, it's like you for sure wanted to show that off. Like
Right.
That's a trick that's like, oh my god, like I was praying, I was like, please, like Cheese, get this, like I want the world to see this, and it was like so sick that like you got that off, and that was a great run, by the way. Like that was so sick. So I was really happy to like see that you were able to just pull off a trick like that, and in front of so many people, because like that's a big thing, like because all you're thinking of, I guess, when you're running is like, man, like I want to like nail everything and just make sure that it's like like I can represent the game as best as you can.
Yeah.
It's like how do you like deal with that?
At the end of the day, you have to remember that 99% of the people watching have no clue what they're seeing in the first place.
I was thinking that too.
So they don't even know if it's bad or good. Only the people that are on the couch or the other top runners that are watching would know, but you don't worry about that. It's all about just honestly having fun with the run, and the feeling of going through the run and just completing it alone is such a great feeling. Dude, sometimes in some of the races that we did in GDQ, I didn't even know what the time was I got. I didn't even ask. It's just later on when people told me what time I got. Because when you do the run, it's so overwhelming and you feel so like happy about it. You don't even worry about the time. It's just like, wow, that was such a great experience.
No, yeah, and that's something I like realized later. It's like, wait, yeah, like 90% of the people are like, what the hell is he doing? So
Exactly.
I guess and if you take it like safe and like do like safe stuff, I mean, you can still, there's lots of good things to show off that aren't like too crazy anyway. Like
Right.
some of the most simple things are like some of the most like cool things to see sometimes. So
Right.
I could yeah, I'll take that into account.
Okay. Another question. What do you got for me, Sim?
Jsonic Z asked, "Do you think that speedrunning the 1.2 update on a physical form SMO is worth it?" I'm gonna guess that's a no.
If that's what you have, then like absolutely. Because like I was mentioning
Yeah.
before, it's like you should just play on what you have until you're like, okay, I'm good at this game enough to where I should probably like downgrade. Because you already have physical, right? So if you wanted to like, and you really got serious about it, chances are the only game you're playing is Odyssey, and like you might not care about like factory resetting. Um, so I say if you, again, if that's all you have right now, yes, do it. It's definitely worth it. I mean, you're gonna lose, you know, you already know that you're gonna lose a little bit of time, but if you're just starting, that's not even gonna put a dent in like anything really. Like that's fine, just run it. And again, if you do happen to get serious, um maybe think about doing the whole like 1.0 thing later. But again, even like you just gotta think, like even top runners right now who have the opportunity to do that, like they're even like skeptical about it. Like Shaden, he's still streaming. He was streaming like last night. He's doing 1.1. Like he can still just put in perspective. I can still get world record with a 1.2 right now. Like if I were to go to 1.2, it's still very possible for me to do it. It's just, you know, I'm at a point where I feel like it's right for me to switch to 1.0. If again, just whatever you have and wherever you stand and what your goals are with the game, just start small. And yeah, just if you want to later, the option's always there because you do own the physical cartridge. So just know that.
Awesome. Okay. How long did it take for you to accept that many people were gonna pronounce your name wrong?
Oh, this yeah, this they call me NicroVeda.
Nicro, yeah. So the real name is NicroVeda.
Yes.
Is it right?
My name. Okay,
NicroVeda.
so my name, like my Twitch name, is actually my real name. My name is NicroVeda. Like Rovida is
Oh,
my last name.
really? Nick
Yeah,
Rovida.
yeah. But
Interesting.
I capitalized the V. I don't know. I thought I was fucking cool or something.
It is pretty
clever
cool.
shit.
NicroVeda.
So yeah, I just kind of like made a little separate name like Nicro. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool, whatever. Because like putting your whole real name, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, not that I don't want to do that. It's just like whatever. I might as well spice it up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
There
yeah,
you go.
I don't have, and yeah, if you're gonna say Nick, it's not like there's no like K or like H in my name. It's just NIC. If anyone's
Right.
wondering.
Nick.
So yeah, just if you wanna, you can. I mean, you can call me Nick Rovita, even though it's NicroVeda. It's like whatever. They're
Right.
kind of the same thing. So,
Okay,
yeah.
awesome. All right.
Cool. Do your milk bags make you faster?
Dude, I think so.
Dude,
okay, so this milk that's been sitting here that you saw me sipping earlier.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows me and shit, like they know I love warm milk. I know it sounds gross and like people are like, what the fuck? I know, right? But my milk, like I let it sit out, like, not to where it's like sour or anything or like gross, but like I like a nice. Sometimes I'll even throw a glass of milk in the microwave. Like it just sits nice in your stomach, man. And I drink a lot of milk. It's
Simply's freaking out.
I don't know about this guy, dude.
Okay.
Warm milk.
Listen, I agree. Like hot milk, a cup of hot milk, but
yeah,
like room temperature warm milk, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I had to, because I like the warm or the hot milk at first, and then like letting it sit out, I'm like, oh well, I could just let it sit and like maybe it'll be the same. It kind of took a while to get used to, but like it's just nice. Like I don't know, it's weird. It just feels
interesting. That's really
I've
interesting.
always just like it just feels like a nice smoothie, you know. And I just again I drink I drink lots of milk, dude. So I got those strong bones for
beating up
speed.
people, right?
Beating a speed, man. Beating up people. All that stuff.
No, I like
yeah.
milk too. I drink glasses of milk every day soon, as well. I have an interesting question here from Doug M. Califf. What are your thoughts on 40%, roughly 700 runs or so, of runs verified on speedrun.com having no video.
Yeah, so because a lot of the people that are playing this game are new players, and they
Mhm.
don't have like streaming PCs or like capture cards and stuff like that. Um, and like, okay, you need a time of 120. Like, if you have 120 or better, you have to have like video proof.
Mhm.
But
That makes a lot of sense.
which I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of dumb because like you'd think, well, every run should have to have some kind of proof because then you could just lie and, oh, look at my 120.01 or something. Because like I think at first there was a lot of people who were like, just like, I don't know if they're fake, like maybe, but it's just like a lot of runs that are just like 120 or like 120. And it's kind of ridiculous, but at the end of the day, I mean, the boards are so long and big. It's like they're just gonna be so down there. It doesn't really like matter. Like nobody's gonna like look
Yeah.
down at that and be like, so I don't know.
Right.
It's either just like verify everything, but like again, that's kind of hard. The mods don't really care to do that, especially with like bad times. Because like now 120 is like a pretty bad time, I'd say. It's like before it
Mhm.
was like, like maybe we should like raise the time, I guess, or sorry, raise the require video proof for like a higher time. But now it's like we're at a point, we're past that. I think we don't
Right.
really we should only really care about stuff like under 120 because the rest, again, it's either just very new players or stuff that doesn't even put a dent in the competition anyway. So I think it's fine.
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially the fact that a
Yeah.
lot of them are new people that don't have the
Yeah,
resources, the
because
hardware.
I do still think they have a right to submit. And it's like, sure, there's gonna be a lot of people who just like lie, but it's like, for what? Like, you're gonna get like a
Yeah.
thousand
Yeah,
plates or
no
something.
one. It really doesn't matter. I'm sure lots of runs are actually fake, but no, it really doesn't make a dent.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because there was a recent rule in Mario 64 where sub 2 hour speed 120 star runs you have to have video as well.
Yeah,
And it makes sense.
it makes
Mhm.
sense. I'd say for like 70 star, it's like when you break that hour, it's like that's when you're like, damn, it's a good accomplishment. And then like
Right.
120 is like, the 2 hours. Like I feel like a lot of new people like gun for that. So
Yeah.
it's just like those like milestones, just like that, are good to say. Okay, yeah, like we'll keep it at that because anybody can just submit like bad times. Like there's almost like a race to be like the worst player. Like I remember there was like a bunch of people submitting times on the SMO boards that were like last place, and they were like a second after each other. It was like 17 hours or something. It was just like really stupid times that were like clearly fake.
Right.
So I don't know. I think, yeah, like just have it. Don't have it like too low. Obviously, like you still want to be able to submit if you don't have the resource to like record. But
Mhm.
yeah, every game needs that, I think.
Okay.
Simply and Cheese SMO 2-player co-op any percent. Yes, we're doing it. I'll buy you a flight over to my house and we'll get it
Actually,
popping.
you could do that at Sgdq.
That would be great.
Hakat. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that.
Hakase.
Hakas. I know Kas is in Swedish is cheese, but I don't know. Hakas SSBM. Going back to what you guys were talking about of running games on the original hardware, you said runs on VC aren't taken seriously. What do you think makes VC runs seem illegitimate? What do you think would need to happen to make people more accepting of runs not done on original hardware? Well, we talked about this earlier, but I guess we can have like a short run through of it again.
Yeah, like I agree with what you were saying. Of like, well, because again, I'm always someone who thinks it's, be the most authentic on the original console. Like the way I look at speedrunning is like, it's like Nintendo gave us this version, like this console and this hardware to
Yeah.
run on. So let's just do that. It feels just kind of like an enhancement. Like, oh, like we got the VC, and again, it's an official release. It's the same thing, and
Mhm.
like you technically, yeah, like you're beating the same game, and if it's faster, it's faster. Like that's fine, but there's just something about it. Like again, and it's not really, there's no like right answer to it. It's just I've always felt that like whenever I watch OOT, it's like if I'm gonna click on a stream, it's like, oh, on VC, it's just like, I don't know why. I just have this like feeling towards it, just because I'm just somebody who likes I'm just to the point with like what I run on, I guess, and it just seems like all this extra to me whenever I'm thinking about like sideways hardware or the other hardware and stuff. It's like, again, don't listen to me though. It's like, if you want to run on that, run on it, please. Like, it's very much the same, but I do think that separating those things, like I was mentioning before, is a good thing. Like, and like tabs or whatever.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the same view.
I feel like, I mean, it's not, I don't think illegitimate's the right word, because we're all like, we're a community that's accepting of VC runs. You're on the
Right.
VC leaderboard. It's completely fine. I think the reason that people don't care is because, let's say somebody gets a 138 on VC. That run is not going to be nearly as good as the 139 on N64. So
Yeah.
in a sense, it's like, it's not the best speedrun. Like, it's not the cleanest. So that's why people don't really care, because it's not like the best skillful. But if somebody came out and beat the world record by like 3 minutes, like it's a better run and it's on VC, then I feel like people would be
Right.
accepting at that point, because then it's going to be at a point where it's like, okay, now you need to play on VC if you want to beat that time. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen, because anybody who's ever getting good, like on emulator or VC,
Yeah, like
they
you
always
just
end up
care about 64 more than anything.
yeah, because you
Like,
want to
almost,
compare to the other players, and it's
yeah,
harder too, because you have to reduce lag, so you have to
it's
do all
kind of
these
weird.
camera
It's like
angles.
the community's just like, it's like, would you rather the speed or just like what feels right to run on, I guess. And it just
Right.
feels like that much more better. It's almost like playing, or like you get a sweet like soccer goal with like a basketball. It's just like you can get a sick shot, but like that's not a soccer ball, man. Like, I don't know. That's just how I look at it. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
you're
Interesting.
playing soccer with a basketball when I'm looking at like DC. It's just kind of weird, man. I mean, you can do your thing. You do your thing,
That's
but
interesting.
like, yeah, I don't know. I whatever. You just do what you want. You know what? I don't have a problem if you play soccer with a basketball. I think it's cool, I guess.
Right.
Go
I'll
ahead.
judge you. I'll judge you though. You're kind of,
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little
It's
bit.
kind of
You're
weird.
you're a
just a
little
little bit.
weird.
Choco Donuts asks, "Hey Nick, how
Hey,
tall are you?"
I am pretty short. I'm like five. I think I'm like 5'6" or 7.
Holy crap!
Holy shit, boy!
That's
Dwarf
crazy.
over here.
Yeah, I haven't measured in a while. Measured, eh?
Measure E.
Yeah, it's been. Fuck, I don't know. I can't remember the last time I measured. It was like I was like 5'6" or 7 or some shit. I
You're
don't know.
19, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you still have a few years to grow. 1 or 2.
few years. My parents are really short though, so it's looking grim for your boy.
Oh.
Rip.
Ooh.
All right. So how tall are you, and what clothing brand would you love to be sponsored by?
Where did you get that question from? Was that
From
a chat?
Choco Donuts, yeah.
Oh.
I think that's an interesting question.
Clothing brand to be sponsored by. I don't know. I guess I've always been into like soccer. I mean, I don't really I don't really watch soccer anymore. I've always liked like Adidas and shit. I don't know. I wouldn't say Gucci because like I find Gucci's like that shit's whack.
Gucci
Just like
gang.
Gucci gang.
Gucci
Yeah, I don't
gang.
know. I don't know. I wear a lot of other random stuff. I don't really
Nice.
care. But yeah, I don't know. Sure, let's go with Adidas because soccer.
Nice.
I always just wear Adidas shit.
So I have a question for you, Nick.
Yeah.
Years ago, before speedrunning and stuff, did you always play Nintendo style games, or was there a point where you played FPSs or stuff like that?
Yeah, that's all I cared about. It's funny because like I was into soccer. Like I said, I used to be really big into soccer. Like I used to play. I don't anymore. Like it's all about them games. But
It's true.
yeah, when I played soccer, I remember when the Xbox came out. Because again, I've owned Nintendo exclusively for like ever. Like I grew up with a GameCube.
Yeah, me
and that's,
too. Yeah.
That's why I like Melee and all that stuff. So yeah, that's also where like that's why I'm so influenced in speedrunning the games I do. But anyway, yeah, I've always been growing up with Nintendo stuff. If you look at my like, I have a little top 10 games list in my channel, and this is all Nintendo stuff. I mean, I'm pretty much a Nintendo fanboy. I always buy the new stuff. But yeah, when it comes to like playing like other stuff like FPSs and whatnot, well, I'll get into that. But I when I first because I used to be into soccer, and I remember when the Xbox Connect came out. That's the only reason why I was like, oh my god, I need this. Like it was the Connect Sports, and it's like I can play soccer like in my living room with this piece of shit. Like it was so bad actually, but
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
I was always imagining as a kid, I'm like, can there please be like a game? Like I wanted there to be a game for Wii where I like strapped the Wiimote to my foot and I was just like being able to kick, like just dumb stuff like that. Like uh, so when the Kinect came out, I'm like, oh my god, I am getting that for Christmas. And then that's like all I played on Xbox for a little bit, and it got like really boring like pretty fast. So then everybody was like Black Ops, Black Ops, Black Ops. This is when Black Ops was first popping off,
Mhm.
and
Zombies.
yeah, I bought Black Ops, and yeah, that was amazing. That's also one of my favorite games ever. Like just the first one though. I never played any other COD because I bought Modern Warfare 3 when that first came out, but my disc got scratched the first week. Like I moved my Xbox over, and if anybody's
Oh
ever moved a
man.
360, you know that like it scratches the disc, and like I lost my receipt, so I
Oh
just
no.
lost like a fucking big like $80 game or something.
Oh
But
no.
yeah, that was back when I played Black Ops a bit. I would grind that out, but I mean, I never took it like seriously. Like again, I always just imagined like one day I'd be playing like I'd be like good at like Nintendo stuff. But you know, it was just a matter of time before that happened.
Right. So this guy Christian Dupler, he asked, I absolutely love competitive games from Call of Duty to Melee to speedrunning. So what made you guys decide on speedrunning? So what made you decide on sticking with the speedrunning
Like sticking with speedrunning,
instead of
like
sticking with
while
Melee
oh
and Black Ops and that kind of stuff?
well. I wouldn't say yeah. I didn't like leave Melee at all. Like I'm still very much a Melee player. Like if
Right.
anybody asks me, like my even when I got my like my Twitter bio, I think I changed it now, but like when I got world record, I still had Melee player like before speedrunner type
Oh,
thing. Like
okay.
I'm always just a Melee player, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll always consider that just because it was what, you know, brought me into competitive games, and I take it I still think just the competitive nature, it's just so much more, it's so much crazier. It's almost like endless. It just feels, it's just a different feel. I have a soft spot for Melee, but um yeah, I don't know. Going into speedrunning, like I don't, yeah, it doesn't really take away from Melee. The FPS thing, I feel like it's weird because that's a whole nother like topic, like realm. I think just like
Hmm.
playing an FPS and then playing like like Mario speedrunning, it's so different. And like to be, if you really want to be good at one, it's like it almost feels like pick one or the other, but like it doesn't have to be that way. I just think more people like just pick one and they just kind of like go in that path, and like just in our cases it's been like that for like speedrunning.
Right.
So yeah, and again, I'm still very new to speedrunning. I would say like it hasn't even been a year since I've watched them longer than a year, but I haven't like played them longer than a year.
Hmm.
um so I think at the moment, yeah, like speedrunning's like that new thing for me, and I do play it a lot more than Melee, but I don't think it took over much of like my Melee life or skill, I guess.
Okay.
What
Interesting.
made you decide on speedrunning, Cheese?
Um, I don't really know, honestly. It's like because I grew up like basically how Nick grew up. I grew up in Nintendo. I had an NES, then SNES, then I had an N64, then I got a GameCube, then a Wii, then a Wii U, now a Switch. I've had all N64 and Nintendo consoles, and I've never owned any other consoles. I've never had an Xbox or PlayStation ever. Only Nintendo.
Really?
Yeah. So until my brother recently bought a PS4, I don't know when. Um, so I grew up with only Nintendo. I grew up with Mario, Zelda, just like most speedrunners, I think. So when I found out about speedrunning and I saw, holy crap, people like Cosmo, whatever, running games like Ocarina of Time and Mario, speedrunning, beating them as fast as you can, doing all these tricks in these games that I've played so long. Because of that, I just felt like it was just bringing back all this nostalgia. It's just like,
Yeah.
wow, this is amazing.
No, it's crazy. Like seeing somebody destroy a game that you love so much.
Right.
It's like they are like the ultimate like champion of like your life. It's like they just destroyed like
Yeah.
what I so like you look up to it so hard, and
Mm,
it's almost impossible to like not be like I want to do that one day. Like
exactly.
because again, like you were saying with the nostalgia, it's like once you grow up with Nintendo, it's like you're almost bound to like play like competitive Smash or speedrun. I think
Exactly.
like if you do know about it, it's like you just have to try it because
It's
like
all about the nostalgia. Nostalgia is a huge like feeling, I guess. It's a huge
it's
emotion.
insane. It's honestly like something you can't even describe. And I always say like when I used to do this thing like every other year I'd like because I don't want like games like OOT. I love them too much to just not play them again. So but like after a while when you play OOT casually so much, you know, you can only do so much and you kind of know everything. But
Mhm.
like speedrunning opens up the game in new possibilities to
Exactly.
where like yeah, it gives you that chance to like play your favorite games, but like it never dies because I got pretty bored of playing Majora's Mask and OOT like over and over again because I used to do that like every year. I'd 1 year play the other and then like keep swapping. I'm like, oh my god, I have to keep this game alive. It's too good to like let go. But now that I've found like speedrunning, like I plan to get into like other games too. I do want to do like OOT probably. And
Uh-huh.
like I will play more like SM64 and stuff. And it's just games like that. Like again, like it's a new opportunity to play them, and I think that's so important. If you grew up with them, it's something that like it's another
Precisely.
chance at like rebirthing the game that you grew up with, I guess.
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's so different. Like it keeps that same feeling of it's the old game, but it's a completely new way of seeing it, new way of
Yeah,
going through it. And
like same with Melee too. Like I played
yeah,
Melee over and over and over, kid, but like it's like, well, what else can I do? But now it's like it's just a whole new game, and like it'll never end. It has just a constant lifetime. It's really awesome.
Awesome. Um,
what was it like being rated by all of Twitch staff when you got partnered? Did that happen?
Yeah. I actually highlighted it. It's on my channel. It's called
Ooh.
The Moment I Got Partnered. It was cool. I mean, I'd never seen that before.
you got rated
I
by
didn't.
Twitch staff. Can you explain?
Yeah, it was like there was like freaking. It was just going a million miles a minute. Like it was like, want to see
Wow.
a frame perfect trick? Check your dashboard. I was like, wait, what the? Because at that point I was waiting like 2 weeks because they said 7 business days. So I'm like, Twitch is late. I didn't get accepted. Damn. But no, like I hit the little achievement thingy. I thought I'd get it like right away, but you had to like wait. And then they came in my channel at once, and it was like, okay, yeah, I know what this is. It was pretty cool though.
So they gave you partner live on stream, basically.
Yeah, like he came in, or like a bunch of people came in. They're just like, check your dashboard, and
That's
like I set up the
incredible.
thing. Yeah, no, it was awesome. Like there's just like a huge like party. It was like a celebration. It looked dope. And I went in
That's
there. You just
sick.
had to like do a couple clicks, and I got my my
That's
big
so
D
cool.
check mark. And
The
I was
D.
all popping,
You got your
just
big D
popping.
that day. Um,
Definitely grew a few.
when are you cheese going to speedrun Odyssey? I'm going to speedrun Odyssey.
Hey,
Oh,
Um, yeah, that's the answer. It's just really complicated because I don't have really any space or a way to bring my LCD TV into my room. But I have to find a way to do that. I have a question though for Nick. Someone mentioned that I could use my computer monitor to play Odyssey on. Is that
like
recommended?
if you have like, is it just like it's just an HDMI monitor that can like play
An
anything,
HDMI
right?
monitor, yeah.
Like, do you have or are you saying do you want to like stream and play on the same screen like off of like OBS or something?
No, let's say I have no. Let's say I have two monitors. I use one monitor
Yeah.
to actually plug like. Can I play Odyssey on the monitor as a TV?
Yeah, for sure. Like cuz I use BenQ. Like I have my monitors are actually really good. Like they're 1 ms.
I have
So
a
like
BenQ
it's
as
like
well.
they're pretty, yeah, they're like legless, and like I mean if you even if you play on just like a regular LCD, I mean there's you wouldn't even notice a difference probably. It might it depends on like what game you're playing, but I think for yeah, no, you should be fine to just plug it into your monitor. Like if you use that for your computer, I mean there's almost no reason it shouldn't work for
Okay,
Odyssey. Yeah.
awesome. Okay, well that would be way better. I wouldn't have to worry about a TV.
Yeah, 'cause like the way I have it set up is like I have two monitors. Like I have my laptop in front of me. I think you still have yours.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right next to me, yeah.
for like chat and stuff, and then I
Yeah.
got like one OBS, and then one on the left of me is the gameplay. So that's my setup right now.
Okay, awesome. I saw a question earlier. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Tara wants to know if you were to run OOT, what category would you run?
So yeah, actually interesting is I actually learned the whole hundo route on emulator. Like, but this was it's kind of sad because I picked a really bad time to learn it because again, I've wanted to speedrun Odyssey so bad when it came out. So like a month,
Mhm.
the whole month before Odyssey, I took learning the Hundo route on
Oh
like
wow.
on emulator, and then right when it's like like I learned it and it felt so good. It's like to finally just like make a save throughout the whole run and be done. It was like, man, it's so crazy. I mean, I wanted to go back and practice it obviously because it's a lot to take in. I mean, that
It's a
game,
lot, yeah.
it's oh my god. I do want to do it again, but basically I forgot like everything, and it's so sad because I put like a pretty good amount of time into it, and then Odyssey came out. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I have to play this game. But
Yeah.
I mean, it was worth it. I'm glad in a way, it's like good that I did it because I have a feel for the game at least. I don't like completely forget everything. I don't think that like its effect it matters that much. But if I did, if I do want to move to another game as a side thing, yeah, I do want to learn Hundo. But again, it's a hard choice right now, just with the whole
Yeah, now the whole
VC
round is
thing.
changing. Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah. So yeah, not only like I just forgot everything, but then there's that, and that even makes it like ugh, like
Right.
what to do at this point. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess time will tell. Like maybe I'm not completely against VC, but who knows? You might see me trying out some OT again in the future. But if I do, it'll definitely be Hundo.
Awesome. Best category.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Probably my favorite thing to watch.
Okay. All right. I was gonna ask a question. Gosh, it was such a good one too. I just lost it.
Oh no.
It'll come back.
God damn it.
What part
Oh,
of
okay.
Canada?
So, yeah, talk to us about your where you're from.
Where I'm from. So I live in Ontario, Canada. It's
Okay.
live in a city of 50,000 people or so.
Oh
It's,
wow.
it's called North Bay. It's pretty boring.
Bay.
Bay, North Bay. I am the North
Bay.
Bay. Like, yeah,
Okay.
there's I don't know. It's there's not really much to do here. It's a weird like there's a lot of sketchy people and like I don't know. Like a lot of like our downtown. It's like cool to shop and like I guess like there's some cool spots. There's nothing really to do. Everybody's just kind of like fucking stoners and shit and just like weirdos. I
Okay, so
ain't I
like
ain't I ain't with that, by the way. Um
I don't know.
I don't know.
The
The,
PB
You
says
have a,
otherwise.
yeah, you have a 104.20, so it's not really looking good
It's
for
not
you.
really looking good.
okay, the one time right there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean I'm not it's not like oh everybody's just like weird. It's like it's fine. I mean, I've I've never like moved in my life. Like I've always I don't know. I've been just chilling in Little North Bay,
Okay.
Canada. I don't know. It's kind of pretty cold right now. Nothing too crazy though. I know
Right.
people probably think I live in like an igloo or something, but
Kind of
it's
looks
not.
like it.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my igloo. But yeah,
It's a big
yeah,
igloo.
that's pretty big. It's pretty nice. I
It's a
worked hard
first
on it.
world igloo.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I only have I have one more question that I really like to know. So what do you think about
Sex. Oh,
you having the yeah. No, what do you think when you have in the world record? Do you feel nervous that a lot of people like Shade and Navalu could just take your world record any day, or do you think that's a motivating factor for you to keep
Well,
pushing?
something I always tell everybody like I'm just straight up like I'm a leaderboard like a hoe like I love that shit like
Right.
I love just, like competing for world record. I always thought it was just the most fun thing. I don't really
Yeah, you don't care if
like
people beat you.
like I was saying before, like they made me like they pushed me to do harder strats and keep up. So like I felt
mhm.
like I always had to like be on the same kind of page as like the people who are doing the good stuff. And yeah, it's fun though. Like it's like a nervous thing. It's like oh like Shaden could beat it or Valor could beat it or whatever. But like again, that like you even said before, it just makes it more fun. Like it only pushes you anyway. You're gonna keep going. That's
Good.
it keeps the like people watching. If it's just the same guy barely lowering the time like over like a long period of time and like there's not very much competition, it's still good, but it just doesn't have that extra something with it. It makes it a lot more interesting when multiple people at any point can just take it, you know.
Agreed.
But yeah, having the I mean, it's just crazy because again, like I haven't been doing this that long, and like just from when I first began speedrunning. It's like what I wanted. And it just happened pretty quick. I don't know. I just wanted to like compete or like be a really good runner. And again, Odyssey was just like that opportunity for me. So
Yeah, a lot of people in the community tend to think that we feel devastated when we get our world record broken. It's like no,
yeah.
and we hate each other. Like I hate Pumpkin. No, it's the complete opposite.
No, yeah, it's definitely nerve wracking. You're like shit. But like
Yeah,
at
but
the end
it's
of the day,
awesome.
you're
It's
just
cool.
no. It's like it's like congrats, man. Like it just makes it good. And everybody in the chats, they just go crazy for it. I mean, it's slowed down a bit after like when like Valu's taking a break, and like I know Shaden was kind of off for a few weeks. I don't know. I think Zaya. I don't know what he's up to. I think he's like in school or something. But
Okay.
like I was like the only person in like the top 4 or 5 for like a good few weeks who was like really like kept playing any percent. Like a lot of people kind of took it off, and like it felt like something was missing.
So this is your chance to push ahead when everyone is in a break right now. You just
Yeah.
gotta get that 103 in, 102.
So yeah, they're right away, and then they're like, oh, 1.0 is legal. So I'm like, oh shit, well,
Right.
guess I'll be ahead another 20. Who knows? Who knows?
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I think
Well,
it's good. Stimulating competition. It like pushes you, keeps it interesting for viewers. Only good things.
There's just no way I'd have this time right now if it weren't for like the other people being good.
Yeah.
I'd strongly believe that.
Agreed. I feel the same way. Okay. Good question here. Can you guys ask? Okay. Well, Nicro. Do you think any other SMO categories would ever be comparable in competition to any percent?
I think like it depends. Like if you look at something like okay, like look at when I think of a game like OT, it's like world record like for any percent, like there's only like a small like I can count like less than the fingers I have people that are actually like trying to get like crazy good times in a game like Ocarina of Time any percent, right? It's just a very small number of people, and it's for a reason. It's like that game is being so pushed, and like people are kind of just tired of it because the game's too good to be beaten that short kind of thing. So like but OT is such a popular game. You'd think, well, why isn't there so much more people gunning for that world record in that game? It's a different kind of again, it's because any percent in this game, it's such a good length. Like an hour, any speedrun like about an hour over, I feel like it keeps it more fresh because there's more room for like error and like opportunities to like improve and stuff. So like I don't know if any other category would be comparable. It's just because any percent is just that good length that like a lot of people are like trying to be good at, whereas like any percent for a lot of other games, like I was mentioning, like really short games, they've kind of like died out, and more of the competition kind of shifted over to other. Like I'd say, like maybe even like Hundo is more competitive than any percent has been for the last like year. Like I feel
It
like
has been, yes.
yeah, that's probably true. So like, but for a game like this, I don't know. Maybe Darker Side is like I could see it getting more popular, but I don't.
How long is Darker
I
Side?
personally just Darker Side's like about 3. It's like 3.5 hours right now, the record. But maybe I don't know. Maybe it's sub 3 one day. Who knows?
And what about Dark Side?
Dark Side. My opinion on Dark Side is like it's hard for me to like really care about it because it's such an in between category.
It's more
'Cause, like,
arbitrary.
for me, it's like you either play the game as fast as you can or you do like as almost like everything. Like it's either like the
Right.
shortest or the fastest. So like I like any percent because it's a nice length and it's as fast as you can beat the game. But then like Dark Side is just kind of like, oh, you just go to Dark Side and like that's it. It's like why not do Darker Side?
Right.
It's like you may as well just kind of like complete it. And the thing with with Odyssey is that like all missions is that category is every single moon in the game, which is 880. But then that's not even 100% because 100% collects like all the purple like regional coins. You have to get all the costumes. You have to hit 999. Like you do that by buying the moons, and it's really lame. Like a lot of the things in those categories are just such a drag. Like why would you want to just buy like fake moons? Like that's why I don't really. I find that like the grindy part of those, and there's like coin grinding and stuff to like buy stuff. That just doesn't really interest me. But so I see Darker Side as like the true like 100%. Even though it's not, Darker Side is the last level in the game that you can like unlock. So I find like the fact that it stops there, and you cut out all the extra like stuff, because
Okay.
there's a lot of again, there's so much extra in Odyssey. It's almost ridiculous to even like run 100%. Like I just find that like
Right.
it's just too crazy.
So can you go through with us what is dark side? What is darker side? What do those things mean?
So at when you reach 250 moons,
Mhm.
you unlock Dark Side, like just Dark Side, with like like there's the moon. So this is like the dark side of the moon, and
Okay.
then if you hit 500 moons, that's Darker Side, and
Mhm.
that's the last like like exclusive world I guess you can unlock. So that makes for a good category because again, Odyssey's way too big for 100%, and there's so much grindy like boring parts where it's not that interesting. But the fact that like Darker Side pretty much is the entire game, like you are going to every kingdom, you're getting 500 moons to unlock it. Like 500, it's just such a good number, like
Mhm.
for a game with like 1,000 almost moons to get. I feel like Darker Side just, if that feels like the real 100% of the game, even though it's obviously not. It
Right.
just, if I were to compare it to something that is like viable to run and like try to push for a good time, I'd say Darker Side is where it's at when it comes to longer categories.
So is dark side just all the levels done again, but more moons and different missions?
Like just Dark Side is like I haven't even watched Dark Side, I don't think. Like I don't really know much about it, but it's basically just everything but Darker Side. Like it's just one less kingdom you're doing, which to me again, that's why it just kind of feels like, well, why not just get to the other one, I
But
guess.
it's the same kingdoms that you're running over again that you did
Yeah,
before
like
dark side.
you're still getting, it's like the 250 moons you can get the fastest pretty much.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd say, I don't know, if you want to compare, like yeah, like 100 or any percent is 124 moons at the moment. Like that's the minimum we need.
Right.
Um, so it's actually kind of interesting. People compare something like that to like 70 star. It's like if there was anything like skips found in this game, um like people are like trying to grind to find like these like kingdom skips, and like they're ridiculous. Like there's potential for it, but like it's just they're really crazy like ideas. If they're possible, it's like the current any percent would turn into basically like a 70 star, because 70 star it was like the OG any percent back in the day. And
Yeah.
um 124 moons, I think it's just such a good amount of moons for like an any percent category. So I hope it stays this way because I like the way it is. It's just a nice length, and
Right.
it's a good number, and it feels, it's not something like 16 stars, something like with just like dumb tricks and stuff just to
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's
Stupid
just kind of
Ridiculous
like
category.
optimization.
Shit category.
just grinding. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with that.
No, of course not. We all have our preferences.
But yeah,
Okay.
the way any percent is, and just the way the first like few categories that show up on the site, they're just good the way they are. I just hope they don't really go under some crazy change.
So what do you think about an all missions category where you do darker side as well? I guess you do all the moons that require, instead of like basically all the moons that aren't the coin grinding moons.
Yeah, like yeah, all missions is every single like individual moon, like
Right.
without duplicating moons and stuff.
Right.
I think that's cool, like because technically to me that's like the like it's like Hundo, um, but with all missions, because there's like okay, like something like for instance, there's a part in like Seaside. I don't know if you've played. Have you played through the whole game, Cheese?
No, I only played up to the end of Wooded Kingdom.
Oh, okay. Like there's a kingdom where like you play beach volleyball,
Yeah, I
and
know
it's
about
like
that.
it's you have to get like 100, and it's like just like a moon like that. It's so slow and like boring. Like there's literally like individual moons that you watch in all missions where it's like those moons alone just like make you not want to run the category
How
or
long is
something.
that to get 100?
I don't even know. I don't know. I didn't really watch it, but when I did it in my casual playthrough, all I was thinking was, okay, for anybody who's actually gonna like run 100% or something, it's like Jesus Christ, like this.
Because you have to remember that games that have that kind of stuff, 100%, like OOT 100%, for example, which is still really popular and people love it. They have stuff like Dampe and fishing. Like Dampe is 10% RNG kind of thing that could take minutes and minutes. You know, so
Yeah.
if people watch that and do that, then people might still do something like that, you know, in Odyssey.
Yeah, like I honestly I like Dampe. A lot of people hate Dampe.
I think that is cool, yeah.
I think Dampe, like it's stupid as hell and like it
It's a good
kills good
meme.
runs, but it's great. Like I'm glad it exists. Like obviously when it happens to you, when you get like a shit Dampe, you're mad. But like I'm just glad it exists. So like I don't really care about like dumb RNG in runs. It's just when there's clearly something that just like kills the vibe of the run. Like there is kind of some things in Hundo, like I like the music game where you're playing the Ocarina game. Like that thing's kind of like a drag, and it's like like
Yeah.
I don't, but like something like that doesn't really turn off much people like from just like playing the whole game. It's just I find with Odyssey, I just from my personal opinion, I just see a lot of moons like there's just too many that I just don't really care for to where
Okay.
like I don't feel like I'd run a category like all missions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
All right. I don't think I have any more questions. If simply
Yeah. Nope. No more questions. This
All
was very, very thorough.
Yeah, this is by far the longest episode we've had, nearly 3 hours.
Yeah.
God
That was
Pretty
good.
insane.
Nice.
There is a 1 second. I don't know, comparable. Right. Okay, that's a good point, Techo. But again, Odyssey is a brand new game. We can only wait and see how it goes from now on.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see because again, like I was saying, it feels like the game's been out for like years and it's just beginning.
Yeah,
Like,
it really does.
pretty nutty.
We got a funny question. All right, who do we think would look best with a full beard out of all three of us?
I feel like Nicro could rock a beard pretty well.
Dude,
He looks like you look like you deserve a beard on your face.
Dude,
I deserve a beard, but I just can't, dude.
me neither. I can't. I think
I
simply,
can't.
but
Yeah, me neither.
I think the answer is by far simply. I think simply would look the best with a full beard for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, all I can grow is
Simply would
this.
look
It's the
banging.
worst.
He has the big daddy beard. Yeah.
I get the
Dude,
Big Daddy neck beard
I
going.
actually want to grow like facial hair. I just can't.
No, I don't want to.
It just doesn't work.
I don't want to grow facial hair, and I'm glad I can't.
Beardless %. Yep.
Yeah, but all three of us have problems growing facial hair, so none of us could really pull it off, unfortunately.
I can grow a nice neck beard, but I
Yeah.
mean that's the community we're in, so I kind of
I've seen you with it
might work out.
at GDQ.
Yes, please.
Dude, it grows so fast. It's like 2
Really?
days and it's already noticeable.
I
Yeah.
even saw you
And then
shaving it
this
at
is like
GDQ.
nothing. This is
Yeah.
like nothing. I get nothing here.
Me
and then
neither. I get absolutely nothing here. I get like hair, but that's it. All right. Well, if nobody has any more questions, I think we're good to go on that.
Yeah.
This was great, and
I'm glad we got the microphones
The
working.
dads.
yeah.
Oh my god. Thank you.
I know there's a little like I don't know what to call it, noise coming from your headset, but I don't think it's too bad. I think no one mentioned it,
Yeah.
so
No, you know, when I plugged this in, like I was like, "Hey, this is my last resort," and I've always known that whenever I plug it in, there's like this little like buzz or something. I don't know
it's
what
like
it
a
is,
buzz noise.
but yeah, I didn't think it'd be too bad. Like I did a little bit of testing before we got on, and like yeah, it was definitely the best I could do. I don't know
Right.
what's going on with the real mic,
Dude.
Big D mic, but
Oh yeah.
It's not the fake neck.
because it's such a this mic is so nice and I love it, and it's like I use it for everything, and then just randomly, I don't know, man.
Oh well.
That was kind of
Either way,
shocking.
I think it was a very successful episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
guys.
It was an
Thank
absolute pleasure having you
Absolute.
on, Nicro. Learned a
Definitely
lot.
was a pleasure. My God, the dad.
Covered. Sorry, go ahead.
Definitely looking up to the dads for a while. It's good to
Glad
be
you
on.
enjoy it. I hope we'll get to talk to you more sometime, especially when I start dabbing in the Odyssey speedrunning.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna ask you for all the help, all the
Definitely.
tips.
And I'll be playing some, 64 and shit in the future, so
Awesome.
we'll
Don't be afraid to
we'll be
ask for help on that.
Yeah, we'll be swapping games and stuff. It'd
Sick.
be fun.
Awesome.
Good shit.
Okay, well, our next week's guest, is it confirmed yet, simply?
Yeah. Next week
Who
we
is it?
have Dun, da, da, da. Punky
B
Jones.
Punky
yay.
Jones. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'll be
So
watching.
great. We'll keep you guys updated on that on the Discord. Don't forget to join in the Discord.
Yep.
I don't even
join
think I'm on the
Discord.
Discord.
Yeah, it's right there. I just posted in chat the second one. Or you could join all of them. You know.
Alright.
So I'll give you the time now, Nicro, to give away all your dirty deeds, the deeds on your Twitter account, your Twitch. Where can we follow you? What times can we watch you stream?
So I stream every day, like pretty much. I've been, I'm on Odyssey pretty much like past like ever since it came out. That's like all I've been streaming really. Yeah, it's every day. I stream evenings like EST. My Twitter, everything's just NicroVeda. Like
Okay.
if you just type in NicroVeda, Twitter, Insta, Twitch, everything. It's all there. It's all good. I don't have to hassle for a little tag. Nobody has my name. I don't think there's like no Rovitas. Like who's a Rovita?
Right.
So it's good for me. I got all those names. So good shit.
Okay. Awesome.
But yeah, that's what's going on with me.
Awesome.
Thank you
Gonna
guys
be
so
going
much.
for that hot 103.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this has been really fun. Good to
Yeah.
talk to you.
Awesome. I'll see you around, man.
Happy
Thanks
to
for
be down here again. So
yeah.
shout out to the Conways. I know there's some Conways in the chat there.
Shout out to the
Appreciate yous.
Conways,
That's
whoever they are.
My people.
Yeah, whatever that
my
is.
fellows.
Whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
All right. Well, thank you
Alright,
for watching,
thanks.
everybody.
Thank you guys so much.
See you later, Nicro.
Bye. Have a good night.
Goodbye. Kiss me. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Goodbye, Synth. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hi, Synth. He's back.
Oh, hold on. Wait, are you still live?
Yeah.
Remember the podcast is on iTunes now. I know people were requesting that. We finally got that popping. And Google Play, it's either out now or it's still pending. I haven't checked today, but I submitted that yesterday. So, and I think Kopitz is going to be working on SoundCloud. So, if you want an audio version, you know where you can find it.
Right. So when they go on iTunes, what do they type to find it?
I couldn't find it typing two dads on my iPhone. I just typed Cheezo5 and it came right up. So type
Okay.
Cheezo5 into the search box and it'll come right up.
All right. So awesome. Now we have it on iTunes.
Yeah.
The next podcast, they did it.
Interesting.
Take
Tell me
2.
more.
The next podcast episode Monday. This Monday coming.
Next
Yeah.
Monday, 5:30 p.m. Central Time.
5:30 p.m. Central Time. Okay. So 6:30 EST.
4:30 PST, I think.
Yes. Okay, we get it. All right. So thanks
No.
everyone for watching. I'll see you guys on Monday. Well, I'll see you guys on my stream probably tomorrow. Later today maybe.
I'll see you guys on Monday with Pancake Jones.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We love you.
Love you.
Goodbye, Anting Boy.